Graymore Friars Monastery is located on Atonement Mountain near Garrison, New York. Adjacent to this famous monastery, one sees St. Christopher's Inn. Homeless men from all walks of life come to this famous inn. These men are fed and sheltered by the Graymore Friars, and no distinction is ever made of race, creed, or color. You are invited to listen to another chapter of the dramatized story, The Life of Christ, brought to you transcribed each week by the Graymore Friars, who offer this series with the prayerful hope that this vivid portrayal of the life of Christ will help to awaken in you a deeper personal love of God and a firm determination to strive to prove that love in your daily life. Now, Chapter 21, The Confession of Peter. And he gave him power and glory and a kingdom, and all peoples, tribes, and tongues shall serve him. His power is an everlasting power that shall not be taken away, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed. Now Jesus was in the district of Caesarea Philippi, where he had come to be hidden from men. For the Jews did not come here except for purposes of trade, and the people who lived in this land were indifferent to religion. And the disciples were with him, for he had words of great importance to say to them.
Who do men say the Son of Man is?
Some say John the Baptist, others Elias,
others Jeremiah or one of the prophets.
But who do you say that I am?
How often they had asked themselves that question. How often they had told themselves they knew the answer. But now they had been asked it by Jesus, they were speechless. And they stood looking at him and at each other. And they were shaken, and their hearts leaped, and it seemed as if they heard the question asked not of the moment, but out of the past and into the future, echoing as rolling thunder. Who do you say that I am? And many sayings rushed into their minds, and past words repeated themselves within their hearts.
Behold the Lamb of God. We have found the Messiah. We have found him of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write.
The Son of God, the King of Israel, a great prophet hath risen up amongst us, and God has visited his people.
Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast words of everlasting life, and we have come to believe and to know thou art the Son of God.
This is he of whom I said, After me cometh a man who is preferred before me.
But who do you say that I am?
Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah. For flesh and blood has not revealed this to thee, but my Father in heaven. And I say to thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven.
12 listened. They dared not speak, for never before had Jesus spoken with such authority. And having spoken these words, Jesus turned his steps southward, and they followed back toward Galilee. And as they walked, Jesus charged his disciples,
You shall not tell any man of me that I am Jesus the Christ.
But why? Why, Peter, must we keep silent about it?
It would be dangerous, Judas. Until now, he has never declared himself to be the Christ. Others have said that he was, but he has always rebuked them for it, or ignored it.
Peter is right.
But what has he to fear now? What can anyone do to him? Isn't this the moment we've lived for? For him to declare himself?
Perhaps the time is not now. Suppose he were to tell others what he has told us. What would be the result among the people?
There would be turmoil. The people have various ideas of the Messiah and his mission.
Yes, James, they have. And I'm afraid each idea is based on individual desires. Some would want him to be proclaimed king at once. Others would demand the land of milk and honey to appear overnight. And still others, especially the priests of the temple, would demand that he summon the angels and drive the Romans from the land.
In other words, we're in no better position for knowing the truth than we were when we merely suspected it. And why, I ask you, did he choose this particular time to tell us?
I don't know, Judas. But there's one thing we must always remember about the Master.
What?
He has always spoken of the kingdom of heaven. The things that men deem important in this world he seems not to be greatly concerned about. Oh, here he comes. You can ask him if you wish.
No. No. I have nothing to ask him.
Peter, summon the disciples. We must leave this place.
Whither goest thou, Master?
To Galilee and beyond. The time will come when I must go into Jerusalem and suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and scribes and be put to death.
Master!
Put to death, Master?
But how can they if
And
you...
on the third day, rise again.
What is he talking about? He's the Christ. How can they put him to death, or even make him suffer for that matter? He is the Christ.
I don't understand it either. Why should he be rejected by the elders? He can win them to his side the same as he's won others. He can convince them. He's the Christ.
I've been talking to the others. Peter, they feel you should go to Jesus and ask him for an explanation. They think perhaps he's speaking in parables, which he would make clear.
Yes, Peter, you must speak to him. We're all very confused and disheartened by what he said.
You've made too much of this. Of course, there's some hidden meaning which he will in time clear up.
Peter, don't you feel you should speak to him?
I hesitate to disturb him.
But it's having a bad effect on all of us.
And it's your place to speak up, Peter. After all, he did say you were his rock and promised you the keys of the kingdom of heaven.
It's your duty, Peter. You may not have noticed it, but the Master seems depressed.
Surely you don't think he meant those words about suffering literally?
He acts as if he did.
That's true. Philip was talking to me. He thought a change had come over the Master from the moment we turned our steps southward.
Change?
Yes. Philip feels a turning point has been reached, that we had stopped retreating from the Pharisees and were marching against them. But our leader was as one who marched as if spurred on by the calm finality of doom. Philip said it's as if he were being drawn by some great force to the south.
And this talk about the elders and chief priests rejecting him. True, they have been questioning him, but it's their duty and responsibility to see that the people are not misled by a false Messiah. I'm sure now that Jesus has declared himself, the necessary arrangements can be made to fit him into the temple. There are reasonable men among the priests, and there's no need for war between Jesus and the temple.
But aside from all these considerations, Peter, you must speak to Jesus for his own sake. He's strangely sad since he spoke to us. At a time when we should rejoice with him, gloom is upon us.
I will speak to him. I'm sure he spoke in parable, and I'll get the true meaning of it from him. Master, I asked to speak to you privately because we find ourselves concerned over what you said about suffering and rejection and death in Jerusalem. Master, thou art the Christ. Far be it from thee, O Lord. This will never happen to thee. But a word from thee, and the priests of the temple will...
Get behind me, Satan!
Master, why do you rebuke me so?
Thou art a scandal to me. Thou dost not mind the things of God, but those of men.
You're so silent, Peter.
What did he say to you?
I came to him. I chided him for what he had said, and as we had spoken among ourselves, remonstrated that no harm could come to him because he was the Christ.
We watched you from a distance. He seemed angry with you.
Never has he been so stern. He looked upon me as if I were Satan himself. He told me that I whom he declared to be his rock, minded not the things of God, but those of man. I am more confused than before.
He gave no explanation of his words?
None. I but mentioned that it could not happen, and he turned upon me.
Would you think then, Peter, he did not speak in parable?
I dare not think otherwise, but I dare not again approach him on the subject. If he is to clarify the meaning, we must wait his own time.
Come, let's catch up with the others. The crowd's coming from Capharnaum to greet him.
Yes, Andrew's signaling. Jesus is holding up his hand. He's going to address them.
Notice, Peter, how he looks at us.
Silence. He's going to begin.
If anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For he who would save his life will lose it. But he who loses his life for my sake and the gospel's sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world, but suffer the loss of his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his own soul? For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him will the Son of Man also be ashamed when he comes with the holy angels in the glory of his Father. Amen, I say to you, there are some of those standing who will not taste death till they have seen the kingdom of God coming into power.
And the crowd listened to him and were silent in their awe. For he spoke as one looking into eternity, and yet it seemed that he looked too into the heart of each man present. And to the disciples who knew who he was and had reasoned within themselves his message of doom, his words now caused them to weigh themselves. For now he spoke not of things clean or unclean, or of curing on the Sabbath, but of matters of life and death.
Again he speaks of death, how he dwells on it, and of taking up this cross. What cross? Why must one die to be saved? That makes no sense. And I don't like the way he once cried out in the synagogue that one of us, one of his own, was a devil. Who can he have meant? We have all given up much to follow him. And yet at last, when he tells us he is the Christ, he binds us in silence and refuses to exercise his power, which would bring us some reward for our sacrifices.
Whoever is ashamed of me and my words, he says. I know he's addressing me, and it's I who am ashamed for my words. How many times I've failed him. That time when the net was cast. That time when he called to me to walk across the waters. And only yesterday when I chided him. I, Peter, whom he called the rock. I'm not a rock. I'm shifting sand. Never, Master. Never will I fail you again.
And James and Andrew and Philip and Matthew, all his disciples, searched their hearts as he taught them and revealed to them that the world they knew was nothing, and the soul of man was everything. And because of his words, they were humbled, and then exalted by their promise. And all but one whispered to himself, I will take up my cross and follow thee. Then for a week they lingered near Capharnaum. But on the 8th day they set out for the vale of Esdraelon, and in the afternoon came to the foot of Mount Tabor.
Judas, I'll need provisions for 4.
Where are you going, Peter?
Jesus is climbing Mount Tabor and requests that I, James, and John go with him.
Very well, I'll get food ready. How many meals?
Enough for 1 meal. I'm sure the Master does not intend to stay long.
Why are you 4 going up the mountain?
The Master did not say. He merely requested that we be ready to go with him.
We're at the top.
I'm not used to climbing. I'm out of breath.
Oh, I'm not only tired, I'm sleepy.
And John, too. He can't keep his eyes open. You and I must stay awake.
Yes, Peter. Sit down and rest. I'll stay awake. Huh? What's that? A light. Peter, John.
What?
Wake up.
Where are we? James, what is it? I must have fallen asleep.
The light. Off to the left.
Who is there?
It's Jesus. But his garments are so dazzling white I cannot look at them. It hurts my eyes.
James. John. There are other figures there in the light. Are they men or...
Yes. I see them. They seem to be talking to Jesus.
Those two, I know them. And yet I've never seen them before.
Who are they?
One to the right is Moses.
Oh.
The other, Elias.
Look, they turn to leave him.
Rabbi, it is good for us to be here. And let us set up 3 tents. One for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias.
They do not hear. They're going. But Peter, what's happened? I seem not to see them clearly.
A cloud has drifted over the mountaintop. Feel the dampness?
Peter, I can't even see you now.
Stand fast. Don't walk about. The cloud will pass.
Peter, I hear a voice. It's coming from above.
This is my beloved Son. Hear him. And on hearing the voice from the cloud, the disciples fell prone on the ground and were exceedingly afraid, and they dared not look up.
Arise, and do not be afraid.
Master!
Come, let us descend. Tell the vision to no one, till the Son of Man has risen from the dead.
Peter, again he pledges us to secrecy. First, none of us is to reveal that he is Christ. Now, None of us three is to speak of this vision.
But he qualifies it, James.
Yes, till the Son of Man has risen from the dead. What can he mean by that?
I do not know, James. It puzzles me that he speaks of death and of suffering.
Peter, can it be that he refers to resurrection? As prophesied by Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Remember Isaiah?
Yes. We have not wrought salvation on the earth, therefore the inhabitants of the earth have not fallen. The dead men shall live, the slain shall rise again. Awake and give praise, ye that dwell in the dust.
And Ezekiel, ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Behold, I will send my spirit into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will cause flesh to grow over you, and will cover you with skin. And I will give you the Spirit, and you shall live. And you shall know that I am the Lord.
And many that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some unto life everlasting, and others unto reproach to see it always. But they that are learned shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that instruct many to justice, as stars for all eternity.
Can it be that we are on the eve of the resurrection told by the prophets?
If so, why did not Elias remain instead of appearing to us as a fleeting vision?
Yes, you are right, Peter. He should have stayed to prepare the way.
Come, let us ask Jesus about this.
Master, we want... That is, I've been wondering about the prophecy regarding Elias. I was asking Peter only the other day.
The prophecy of Malachias, Master. Did he not write, Behold, I will send you Elias the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the earth with anathema.
And this is taught by the scribes and the Pharisees. But Master, you have come. Why then do they say Elias must come first?
Elias is to come first, and will restore all things.
Yes, but how then is it written of the Son of Man that he should suffer many things and be despised?
Master, I confess I'm bewildered, even as is James by the writings of the ancients. We're taught to expect Elias as a messenger, but that God's own Son should be despised seems to us...
I say to you that Elias has come already.
He has come already.
And they did not know him, but did to him whatever they wished. So shall the Son of Man suffer at their hands.
And they understood that he spoke of John the Baptist, the one sent from God, who had come to proclaim the Christ, and to bear witness to him. And the Pharisees knew not this witness, and they schemed among themselves, and he was seized by Herod and beheaded. And he gave him power and glory and a kingdom, and all peoples, tribes, and tongues shall serve him. His power is an everlasting power that shall not be taken away, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed.
America's favorite, the Blue Network Breakfast Club with Don McNeill.
Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers. Good morning to you. We got up bright and early just to howdy do you. The coffee's on, the table set, there's bacon in the skillet. And Harry Cogan and his boys have fumes to fill it. So come on, gang, and gather around. We'll start this meeting. Just line up here, I'll call your name, then sing your greeting. Marion May, how do you do? And yours truly, who's glad to see you. And the Romeos, our guests today, let them in. The breakfast clubbers, wake up and smile. That baby got happy makes life worthwhile. Good morning, breakfast clubbers, good morning to you. We got up bright and early to howdy do you. Daddy, mother, sister, brother, toss away all care. America arise, the breakfast club is on the air. Good morning. Well, in case you were wondering what Everett Mitchell said back there, this is not Don McNeill. However, Don's train is in the station, and he's on the way here from the station. Be here in a minute, so we'll just kind of sit down, take it easy, and listen to the Hey, Romeos, come on over here. I forgot. I thought Harry was going to do something. Here are the Romeos. No, suppose you kill about 3 minutes here, Sam, you and the fellas.
2:35.
2:35, while Don is getting here from the station, will you?
We're going to do Sugar
And
Blues,
then we'll
Cap.
have to take up a collection to pay the cab fare, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Thank you.
Sugar blues, everybody singing the sugar blues. The whole town is ringing, my lovin' gal, sweet as can be.
Oh, but the doggone fool turned sour on me.
So unhappy, feel so sad, I could lay me down and die. You can say what you choose, but I'm all confused. I got the sweet, sweet sugar blues, more sugar. Got the sweet, sweet sugar blues.
I think McNeill was pretty smart staying away, I'm telling you.
He's no fool. Isn't that a stupid way to make a living?
Oh, I'll agree
So
with
who's making one?
Yeah. I'll agree with you on that, Sam. I understand when I was away on my vacation, I keep looking around every minute expecting somebody to walk in that door back there, and I hope they do. I understand when I was on my vacation that Harry and the boys started a little extra feature around the Breakfast Club here. Harry, come over here a minute, would you? And tell me a little about this thing that I don't know anything about here.
Well, we've had some requests for polkas.
Yeah, well, I like it. I'll come over tonight and play a little if you want to.
No. This is a musical polka.
Oh, musical polka.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we're going to feature Jackie Cordero on the clarinet.
Oh, fine. What's it?
And the title is?
Oh, clarinet polka. That's what it is.
That's right.
Yeah, I like draw polka much better. Thank you, Harry. I'll take a full house with that every time. I was giving Sam a little massage there. There's a reason we didn't know about that. You know, Don's about once every 2 or 3 times every year. Don brings his family down here and has a little talk with them. Now, he isn't here yet, and they came down to surprise him. So I'm just going to throw a real little surprise at him and get over here and talk to him, and then when he comes in, he won't know anything about it. So I'm going to go over and interview this fine family of Dunnes and have the pleasure of talking to him myself, and then when he comes in, why, he won't even get a chance to talk to him. Hi, Dunne.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
What'd you come down here for this morning?
Because Daddy just came back from his fishing trip.
He did. You think he maybe caught something?
Yeah.
You think so? You hope so, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. That's a mighty pretty shirt you got on there. You like it, too?
Yeah.
What color is it?
Blue.
Kind of tell folks what it looks like. It's a polka dot or something like that?
No.
Oh. Okay.
You boys my family.
Oh, Sheriff, what's going on here? Hello, Robert Patrick. How are you? Well, here, come on over and take over then. Here they are. Glad to see you.
Glad to see you, Jack.
Fine,
How are you? Fine.
Okay.
You're looking fine.
Thank you. So are you. Where?
Did you have a good fishing trip?
Oh, I sure did. How was your vacation?
Fine, swell.
Swell. Glad to see you. We'll
Fine.
talk it over later.
Well, look at the family.
This is your family.
You're telling me.
McNeill, may I present Mr. McNeill?
Hello, Mr. McNeill.
How
Hi.
do you do,
This
Mr.
is Robert
McNeill?
Patrick.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
That's Tommy.
Hello,
This is
Tom. How are you, Tom?
Fine.
Hi, Don. How are you?
Fine.
This is
Glad
your
to see you.
sister sitting
Hi, Bobby.
right over here.
Hi.
How are you? Hi,
This is your
sis.
sis.
Yeah, sure. I know the whole
There you
game.
are. I hope they all recognize you.
Wasn't
so
it nice
take
of
over.
them all to come down?
Oh, it's wonderful. Absolutely.
Wait a minute. What?
Welcome back, Daddy.
Well, thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby. He's applauding like mad just to chip off the old block. He gets his applause by himself. He knows what his old man goes through. But, Jack, it's...
We're down to here in the program.
Are you?
Yeah, right there.
Hello, Harry. Hello, people.
I'm afraid to ask this, but did you or didn't you?
Somebody gave me that broken-down chair. Wait a minute.
Welcome back.
Thank you. That's you, Sam, no doubt. Give me a broken-down chair. What'd you say, Marion?
I say I'm afraid to ask this, but did you or didn't you?
Sure did.
You did?
Yeah.
Big
How many?
ones?
Huh?
How many?
Oh, 40, 50, 60.
Oh, we're going to have big fish dinner, huh?
Yeah. Well, that is
This week?
40, 50. I say 40, 50, 60. Of course,
Here we go.
some of them were a little small. We had to throw them back.
Oh,
Matter of fact, we did get 20, 30 dandies, though.
did you?
Well, I say
Bring 'em
20,
home?
30. Of course, there are a lot of other fellas there that wanted to take fish, too. So I brought home 10, 20 dandies. So.
Oh, 10,
That's
well,
unimportant.
10, 20, that's...
Well, of course,
that's
there were
good
three of
enough.
us that came home together. I got...
You stopped on the way, I suppose.
huh?
and-
I got a fish's head that's a dandy here. I want you to see it after the program, really.
In my solitude, you haunt me with reverie of days gone by.
that I'll soon go mad in my solitude. I'm praying, dear Lord above, send back my
Thank you very much, Marion. That was grand. Certainly nice to see all this fine gang back again after a couple days.
Say, Sam.
Yeah.
I'm awfully surprised to see Robert Patrick, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I could have swore Don took him along for bait.
Yeah, me too.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Well, make him quit picking on me, then.
Yeah.
He's always picking on me.
Isn't he a funny man, Bobby? Yeah. That's what I think,
He's
too.
got tongue in his cheek, too.
Yeah.
See there?
Also some gum.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a silly man, isn't he? Yeah. Exactly the way we all feel about it.
He always picks on me.
Oh, boy. I'm glad we got in, but very little late this morning. They sure drive those trains fast nowadays. The fellow I was with this morning, Joe Hartenbar, who will be in here any minute now with the luggage and the fish, he tried to shave this morning.
He did?
A little later on, he's riding to Montgomery Ward for a new upper lip, and I hope he makes it, too. Boy, they really go, you know.
Don, you caught fish, you say?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's not very important, you know.
No, I don't.
The main thing is, did you get any old rubber boots or rubber tires?
Yeah, that's us.
Oh, yeah.
Why, we saw an old rubber tire there, and you ought to see 6 boats almost turned over waiting to get to it first. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, those are very valuable.
I know they are.
Fillet, they're wonderful, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Fillet of boot is
Yeah,
very good.
oh, excellent. I always get a big boot out of it myself. Now, we're ready for Harry Cogan and the boys, I think, to end this quarter. All right, Harry, and let me see where I am.
Breakfast clubbers, may we salute you with second call to breakfast and plans to suit you.
We can get 'em up, we can get 'em up, we can get 'em up in the morning.
Second call to come to breakfast, everybody come to breakfast. Eat your meal with Don McNeill, who serves a smile for you.
Yes, sir, second call to come to breakfast, and that brings Jack Baker, who has been your very fine master of ceremonies, I have no doubt, for the last 3 days to the fore. Jack, I'll be truthful with you. There on that river, I didn't listen to a radio or look at a newspaper. I haven't any idea what's going on.
You mean for 3 whole days?
Yeah.
Well, that's nothing. I didn't listen to you for 2 weeks when I was on my vacation.
I think you got the better of the deal, you know?
No, I think, no fooling, I think that somebody should have introduced you and me instead of me introducing you to your family, because it's been, it's been exactly 3 weeks since I saw you, I think.
That is the
2 weeks and a
longest.
half.
The longest we've been apart for a long
yes,
time.
Yes, I know it is. But anyway, I was tickled to death to see you walk in because I really wore myself out on this vacation, and I came home to rest, and here I had to go right to work and do your job and mine, too.
I thought you'd like a good change. Where do you want to go, Bobby? Well, maybe you better not tell me.
Maybe you said where for me to go.
What are you going to sing, Jack? Jack sings The Way You Look Tonight. Here, Bobby, come on over. We'll talk to Mama.
Someday, when I'm all alone, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight.
your smile so warm and your cheek so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight. With each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fear apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight. Just the way you look
Jack, that's swell, boy. You're right back in the old voice again, I see.
Thank you very much.
The way you look tonight. Last night we had an awful lot of fun on the train. We got a hold of, 6, 7. Turned out to be about 20.
How much did you win?
Just a minute.
Oh.
20 boys from the Army.
Good hands you have?
Huh?
Oh, good hands all
We
the
didn't.
time?
We didn't play cards.
Oh.
We all sat around and talked and had a lot of fun. And it happened that a lot of these boys are breakfast clubbers. And this morning, I woke up and here they were right outside the berth with a mouth organ playing "Good Morning, Breakfast Clubbers." Good morning to you. So I had a little dose of that before I got down here this morning. Swell boys too. Boys from New Jersey and Texas and Florida and Oklahoma, all over.
Oh, I really had some fun in those places.
Did you?
Yeah, over in New Jersey I had a lot of fun. And down in Texas, oh, man, did I have fun
You?
in Texas.
Not for me.
Yeah, and down in Oklahoma. And
Don, how can
Where
you
were
go all
you
those
anyway?
places?
Oh, I was just flitting around from one place to the other.
Every place but Gary.
Really? That's fine. I'm going to talk to some of the other breakfast clubbers who are here this morning and see what they have in their minds. Oh, first, though, however, we have to have something a little cultural on the program. I imagine you've been having that the last
thank
3
you.
days.
Yeah.
Not you, Sam.
We're both very glad to be here.
Yeah.
Sam and I.
Well, this happens to be opera that I have in mind. Today is
that's
opera
us.
morning. Oh, set it. This is the prelude to Act 1 from La Traviata by Verdi. And our maestro, the man with the dual personality, Harowitz Coganini 1 minute, Prince of Pep the next, he's chosen for our opera the prelude to Act 1 of La Traviata. Now, the story of this thing is very familiar.
Terry is doing a slow burn over there.
Is he?
I think he's mad, too.
Really? This is based on the play Camille. This tells a very sad story about a girl named Violetta who has more troubles than your rationing board. She finally goes into a decline. She fades away to a shadow and dies. Now, the first time that La Traviata was produced, the part of fragile little Violetta was played by a very big prima donna. And when this ample lady announced in a feeble voice that she was dying, the audience howled with laughter, and it broke up the show. She was a little too big for that. So great care has been taken every year since to get just a little tiny babe to do Violetta. I have a feeling that some breakfast clubbers who aren't exactly in the bantamweight class themselves may be yearning to act the part of delicate little Violetta. So today we're playing for all the kitchen Camilles who weigh in at 150 pounds or better, but hanker to languish a little bit. You just forget all about your round, rosy cheeks and pretend you're wasting away glamorously at about 90 pounds. You're reclining on a satin chaise lounge, surrounded by sofa pillows and pallor. And you did all this without dieting or exercise. Just lie down now and take it easy. And sing very beautifully this lovely prelude to Act 1. Harry, while the gals dream about it, about being so beautifully unhealthy, play for them. Now, oh, Sam, quiet. Quiet, please. You were absolutely beautiful as Violetta. Thank you, Breakfast Clubber, for doing that so nobly.
I like that romantic stuff.
You like that romantic?
Yeah.
Well, you were doing a good imitation of Violetta yourself.
Yeah, when I was young, all I thought about was girls.
All you thought about was girls when you were young, huh?
I thought about baseball when I was playing.
I outgrew it, though, Don.
Well, you outgrew it. Don't think about girls anymore,
No, think about women.
huh? Yeah. Oh, Sam, for goodness.
You know, I was thinking about baseball.
What?
I was thinking about baseball.
Were you?
You were talking about that guy Camille in there.
No, Camille. Camille.
Camille.
That's different. No, Camille. Camille's playing
Opera
first.
stars play baseball?
What?
Do opera stars play baseball?
Not that I know.
He couldn't hit a home run, I bet you.
I bet she couldn't either. No, sir, I don't believe.
What do you mean confusing the people like that?
Oh,
Tell them
Sam,
things
stop.
like
I said Camille was an opera singer. He thought it was Camille with the Dodgers.
Oh.
Is he still with the Dodgers?
Yeah.
By the way, I'd like to send my regards to station KENO in Las Vegas, Nevada, and station WKEY in Covington, Virginia, who joined the Blue Network recently. So to Maxwell Kelch of Keno and Earl M. Key of Wookie, let's send him a little chord in G, Harry. There's a chord in blue for you. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. And now it's memory time around the breakfast table. Memory time and song without words. You know, talking to these soldier boys on the train last night as I was, it reminded me of a little poem that a private, Hyman Lazowitz, sent to me not so long ago about being just a private. You know, you can have your deeds of glory and all your tasks so nobly won, but if it weren't for all the privates, this war would not be won. Masterminds may plan the battles and strategic things to do, but it's just a lowly private who must carry these things through. So next time you drink to heroes who are known from coast to coast, just think of the simple private and then drink another toast.
To carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
Thank you very much, boys. Well, I hope that was a little inspiration for you this morning, and certainly is for me to get back to the Breakfast Club again and hear our hymns once more in our memory time. And so as we come to the end of this little quarter together around the breakfast table, supposing, Harry, you and the boys give vent to your feelings here.
This program came to you through facilities of the Office of War Information.
The United States Steel Corporation, 500,000 employees and stockholders, presents the Theater Guild on the Air. United States Steel presents the Theater Guild, one of America's foremost theatrical producers, bringing into your home every Sunday evening the most famous plays of Broadway. Tonight's play is Paul Osborne's Mornings at 7, with an all-star cast including Stuart Irwin, Shirley Booth, Eileen McNeill, Ralph Morgan, Gina Dare, Ida Heinemann. Co-director with Teresa Helburn of the Theater Guild to tell you something about the play and the players. Mr. Langdon.
Thank you, Norman Brokenshire. Ladies and gentlemen, our play tonight is a gay comedy of family life. We've chosen it for you because we think you will all be amused by the funny quirks that exist in the Bolton family. No doubt many of you will recognize some of your own cousins, your uncles and your aunts in the family we're going to introduce you to tonight. Our hero is Homer Bolton, a belated Romeo, 38, badgered and bewildered. And what happens when he tries to break loose from his mother's apron strings is the story of our play. Our cast tonight is from the theater's Blue Book. Stuart Irwin is the baffled Homer. Shirley Booth, the trusting Myrtle. His three aunts are played by Eileen McMahon, Gina Dare, and Ida Heinemann. His father and mother by Will Gear and Leona Roberts. And his two wacky uncles by Ralph Morgan and Howard Smith. And now, on with the play.
The curtain rises on the Theater Guild production of Mornings at 7, presented by United States Steel.
This is a story about a 38-year-old boy and how he grew up in one day. It's the story of Homer Bolton and his secret wife, Myrtle, his rather eccentric father and mother, and his numerous aunts and uncles. It's a tale of young love, of deep, dark intrigue, and the skeletons that rattle in every family closet. All in the town of Perth Amboy, New Jersey. And it opens in the day coach of a speeding train.
Hurry there, boy, the next stop. Hurry there, boy.
Homer.
Yes, Myrtle?
Don't be nervous. Here, have a gumdrop.
No, thanks. Myrtle?
Yes, Homer.
I am nervous. I can't help it. I keep thinking.
Me too.
I keep thinking whether I'm doing the right thing. A man has to assert himself sometime. I'm 38 years old, Myrtle. That's old enough to be married, don't you think?
Oh, yes, dear. I read about a man who was a grandfather at that age. Still, you don't have to tell him right away. I've waited 7 years. I can wait a little longer.
No. It's about time my father and mother and everybody met you. A man has to assert himself sometime, Myrtle. A man has to come up to his mother and father and uncles and aunts and say, I want you to meet my wife. We've been married 7 years.
Is that what you're going to tell them?
No. It wouldn't be right, Myrtle. Sometimes the truth can give pain. You wouldn't want me to give my mother pain, would you?
No, dear.
They know we're engaged, of course. They just think that after 7 years, they ought to meet my intended.
Well, that's no more than fair, Homer.
Yeah.
I only hope they'll like me. You want a piece of chocolate bar?
No, thanks. We must be careful not to make any slips. You know, like about Sundays when they thought I was working overtime.
Oh, yeah.
If they thought I'd been lying, it would be too painful to them. I wouldn't like to give my mother pain, Myrtle. You know, she almost died when I was born. It was a very difficult case. She always tells me about it.
I know you love your mother, dear.
Sure I do. That's why it's been so hard lying to her, telling her I was working overtime when I came home late. But I remember my obligations, Myrtle. I came home there to sleep every night.
Yes, dear, you did.
I didn't mind the traveling, even when it rained.
Homer, dear, why couldn't you have just said that you met a girl who works in the same office with you in Jersey City and you married her?
I just told you. My mother depends on me.
Oh.
She'd be lost if I wasn't around. If she couldn't buy my neckties and underwear and all.
I'd like to buy your underwear sometime.
Oh, please. Myrtle, this is very embarrassing to me. I'll have a gumdrop, please.
Here you are, dear.
I've never told you about my father, Myrtle. He's a strange man, not normal like me. He has spells. I mean moods.
Moods?
Mm-hmm. What
kind of moods?
No, moods. He thinks he's a failure in life. It upsets him sometimes.
Oh, well, he can't be such a failure. Not the wonderful man that built our house for when we get married. See, I feel so funny saying that when we're really married.
Myrtle, quiet.
We're not there yet, silly. Oh, gee, I just love that house, Homer, even if I've never seen it. I've told everybody in Jersey City how the garage is right underneath and you don't have to get wet. Mm-hmm. And that garbage disposal in the sink that grinds everything up. Mm-hmm. Oh, Homer, dear, can I see it? Will you take me to...
Someday we'll be living in that house, Myrtle.
Will we, Homer?
Uh-huh.
Well, there, boy. Come into the bird there, boy.
Oh, dear, I'm so nervous. Do you want to go over them again, Homer?
Myrtle, we've been over them 6 times.
Well, let's see now. Aunt Cora, Aunt Esty, Uncle Thor, Aunt Harriet.
Not Harriet, Ari.
Oh, dear. Aunt Ari. Mm-hmm. Uncle Daniel.
David, not Daniel.
Dear David, not Daniel. Ari, not Harriet. Oh, dear, I mustn't forget. And I mustn't forget, we're not married.
No.
Oh, dear.
There's no fence dividing the backyards of the 2 adjoining houses occupied by Homer's family. An old butternut tree rises in dead center, and under it, safe from the afternoon sun, are some Adirondack chairs and a glider. Just now, they're occupied by Aunt Cora and her husband, Uncle Thor. That is short for Theodore.
Oh, dear. Oh, I'm so excited. Feel my heart, Thor. It's palpitating.
Now, control yourself, Cora.
Oh, do you suppose the train is late? Oh, dear, maybe he couldn't find a taxi.
Now, Cora, you sound just like your sister Ari, always fluttering around and worrying about everything when she isn't sticking her nose right into it.
Cora! Is Homer here yet? Did Myrtle come? Oh, hello, Thor.
Good afternoon, Ari.
Not yet, dear. They're not here yet.
I bet he changed his mind, decided not to bring her.
Ari, do you suppose we'll get to meet her? If she comes, that is.
Oh, of course. Homer wouldn't bring any girl of his home without introducing her to his aunts who live next door.
And his uncle. I live there, too, Ari.
Now, starting pretty early in the day, aren't you, Thor, to tell me I'm not what?
Now, Ari, I didn't mean any such thing.
25 years I've been living in that house with you and Cora. If you want me to get out, why don't you say so?
Ari. Now, that's enough. Now, please don't be starting that again. And you too, Thor.
Carl would be mighty pleased to see his son married and living in that house he built for them.
Carl will, but what about Ida?
She ought to get rid of that crazy mother love of hers. It was all right when Homer was a baby.
7 years he's been engaged to Myrtle. I see myself waiting 7 years for any man.
Harry, you've been waiting all your life for one.
Don't you worry, Thor Swanson. I could have had plenty of men if I'd wanted them.
Sure you could, Harry.
Don't think. I don't see the way men look at me on the street. I know what they're thinking.
Sure, Harry. I was only trying...
Oh, you're a fine one to talk. Look at you. That button on your coat is hanging by a thread. I wonder your own wife wouldn't take care of you.
Oh, now, I sewed that button on this morning, Irene.
Well, then you didn't do a very good job of it, I must say. Take it off, Laura, and
I will sew the button on, Irene.
But why, dear, if I can do it so much better than you, I don't see why I shouldn't.
Where are you? It's Ida. Here we are, Ida. Oh, dear, I've been looking all over for you.
What's the matter, Ida?
It's Carl. Oh, he's not going to have another spell. I mean mood, is he? I don't know. I'm not sure. He's standing there in the middle of the room, and he won't budge. I have to go around him to get to the sink.
That's it, all right. No doubt about it.
Ida, why does your husband always have to pick a time like this? Well, don't you see? It's Myrtle. He can't face her. Don't you see? That's the way it always is. Any new person comes into the house that he wants to make an impression on.
Oh, they're coming.
Oh, dear.
Oh, they're just at the front of the house. They're here, Homer and Myrtle.
Oh, dear, I'm so excited. My son's fiancé. Oh, I've got to run.
Look. They're getting out. That's her. That's Myrtle. My goodness. He's helping her out of the taxi. Look, Thor.
By Judas Priest, he is. Imagine that.
Well, he's certainly doing a good job of it. My goodness, look how he's got hold of her arm. You can't tell me there isn't something going on there.
Maybe we'd better phone Esty. She's his aunt, too, as much as we are. It's only fair.
Oh, and she'll want to meet Myrtle, too. Come on.
I'm coming, Thor.
So they're going to phone Esty. The 4 Gibb sisters all together in one spot. If that ain't enough to bring on one of Carl's spells, I don't know what is.
Carl Bolton, is that you over there in the yard?
Here I am, Ida.
Well, you come right back here. Just ought to be ashamed. Your only son bringing his fiancée into the house, and you running away. I just met her, Carl. She's a sweet, lovely...
They don't want to see me.
But they do, Carl. They do.
Well, why should anybody want to meet a failure like me?
Oh, Carl, you're just giving in to it. Now, stop it. Myrtle is here. You've got to help entertain her. You're the host, Carl. You just can't have a spell now.
I never asked much out of life. Never made many demands. All I wanted to be was just a dentist.
Oh, my goodness. Now, never mind about that now, Carl.
That's not so much to ask, just to be a dentist. Charlie Watson went on and became a dentist, but I wasn't up to it.
Well, of course you were, Carl. It just didn't work out that way.
I had a lofty ideal, but I never achieved it.
Well, you're just as good as anybody, Carl. Look what a success you made of the contracting business before you retired.
I'm a failure, just a failure.
Oh, oh, goodness, here they are. He's bringing her out here.
I guess I'd better be going.
Oh, Carl, don't run away. Come back here.
Mother.
Oh, hello, Homer and Myrtle.
Did you find Mr. Bolton yet, Mrs. Bolton?
Well, I guess he must have gone for a little walk.
Oh, dear, and I did so want to meet him. Oh, I love your backyard, Mrs. Bolton. It's just like Homer described it. And what a beautiful maple tree.
Butternut, Myrtle.
Butternut, I mean.
Butternut.
And your sisters live right over there, don't they?
Right in the next house. And we all sit out here all the time and talk.
Oh, well, I should think you would. It's simply heavenly.
I'm glad you like it.
Well, I certainly do. It's simply heavenly. That's all there is to it.
It's nice of you to say so.
Well, I mean it.
Have mosquitoes sometimes, Myrtle.
Yes, there are mosquitoes sometimes.
How dreadful.
But I don't think we've had quite so many this year as usual. Have you noticed that, Homer?
Not so many. That's right.
Isn't it interesting the way those things go?
Huh?
You know, one year you'll have a lot of mosquitoes, and the next year, not so many mosquitoes. Or a lot of caterpillars one year, and the next year, not so many caterpillars. I wonder why that is.
Well, I don't know why it is. Do you, Homer?
No, I don't know why that is.
Well, I'd better be about supper. See you later, Myrtle.
Yeah.
Oh, I like your mother, Homer. She's nice.
She is nice, isn't she?
Homer, do you think your mother liked me?
She didn't say anything. I guess so, though.
Homer?
Yes, Myrtle?
You're not mad at me about anything, are you?
No.
You act so funny here.
Huh?
Are you sorry you brought me after all?
No, I guess not.
Kiss me.
Myrtle, they'll see you from inside.
Oh, when are you going to take me to see our house, Homer? You know, the one your father built for us when we're married.
Oh, sometimes. It wouldn't look right if I took you now.
Why not? I'm your wife, amn't I?
Shh, don't say that.
Well, Homer.
Yes, Myrtle.
Where are you going to sleep tonight?
In my room, of course.
Where am I going to sleep?
In the guest room. Why?
I just wondered.
I don't see what that has to do with anything.
Oh.
Why do you always say, oh, like that? It's just like the way you say it when I leave you in the evening to go home.
Oh.
I can't understand it. Every time something like that happens, you get a funny look in your eye and you say, oh.
Kiss me, Homer.
Oh, I can't. My father's walking around out here someplace, and he might see us.
Engaged couples kiss?
Not in public, they don't. Not in front of a man's own father and mother.
Homer, are you sorry you married me?
Of course not. That is, no, of course not. Only, well, I've seen so little of you. I'm not used to it. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable. Well, I mean,
Why did you marry me, Homer?
I don't know. And I'm not sorry either. It's only that, well, I'd like to be married to you, Myrtle. But I like to be home with my mother, too. It's pretty confusing, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I tell you what, Myrtle. Come back here in the shadow of the tree and I'll kiss you.
All right, Homer.
And then I've got to go in the kitchen.
It's you, Homer. Why didn't you stay out there in the yard with Myrtle?
I want to talk to you about Father. Now, Mother, is he having one of his spells again just when I bring Myrtle?
No, Homer.
Did he lean his head against the tree and start talking about going back to the fork again? Did he? Answer me, Mother.
No, it hadn't got to that. Oh. Anyhow, I phoned your Aunt Esty just to be sure. She can handle him better than anybody, and she's coming right over.
She'd better hurry. Imagine me bringing Myrtle home for the first time and him talking about going back to the fort.
Well, he didn't. It was one of those dentist spells this time.
Oh.
Speaking of Myrtle, I think she's just as nice as she can be.
Well, I wish you wouldn't leave me alone with her all the time. It's embarrassing. I don't know what to say to her.
Well, what do you say to her when you visit her in Jersey City?
Well, that's different. We don't talk much.
Homer, you ought to get married.
Mother.
I mean it.
Oh, but, Mother, I like living here at home with you. Mother,
What about the house your father built, especially for you, for when you get married to Myrtle? He expected you to move in 7 years ago.
I don't know that I want that house, and Myrtle gets so personal sometimes, Mother.
Well, what do you mean?
Oh, she wants to know all sorts of things. Today she said she'd like to buy my underwear for me.
That does sound rather funny. Of course, after you're married, she'll be buying your underwear. All wives do.
Do they? Well, you know, there's something awfully nice about Myrtle, though.
Of course there is.
She's awfully good-hearted, and she does nice little things for you all the time.
Does she?
She's awfully lonesome down there in Jersey City, too. Mother, if I was to live with Myrtle, do you think I'd get used to it?
Live with her? Why, Homer.
Oh, I mean marry her, of course, Mother. Would I get used to it? Oh, now, Mother, what's the matter? Mother, you're crying.
Well, I never thought of that. I never thought that that she'd be buying your underwear.
There, you see. I knew you didn't really want me to marry her.
But I do. It would make me so happy. So happy.
Oh, it's you, Esty. Thank goodness you've come.
Well, hello, Cora.
It's Carl again, Esty.
Yes, I know. Ida phoned me, too. Is it a bad one this time?
Oh, not too bad. Just one of his dentist spells.
Mm-hmm. First comes the dentist, and then the where am I, and then the fork in the road.
Now, Esty, Carl's not going to have a where am I spell.
Well, what I want to know is, what kind of a girl is Myrtle?
Esty, you may be the smartest of us four sisters, but you're wrong this time. She's really nice.
Is she? Well, I can't help it. Somehow the idea of Homer's having a girl. Oh, my goodness, I haven't laughed so much for a long time.
That's right. How is your husband, the famous college professor?
Oh, Cora, now, you know David made me promise never to come here again without his permission.
The beast. And your own sisters. You didn't promise.
Well, I had to. He said if he ever caught me over here wasting my time with you morons, that's what he calls you, morons, I'd have to live upstairs on the second floor. Mm-hmm. Stay there for the rest of my life. I snuck out.
Live on the second floor in your own house?
Yeah, and he'd live downstairs.
Esty, he's trying to scare you. David's just jealous.
Isn't it terrible?
Esty, you know, sometimes I think I understand David.
Why, Cora.
Yes, I do. It must be nice to be all alone with the person you live with.
Why, Cora, what are you talking about?
Shh. I don't want Irene to hear this. Let's go out in the backyard.
Oh, all right, Cora. Now, tell me what this is all about.
Esty, do you suppose Homer will marry Myrtle?
Well, I don't know, dear. Why?
Because if he doesn't, Carl has promised to let me have the house on Sycamore Drive that he built for them.
Well, what do you want with that house, Cora?
I want to live in it. I want for Thor and me to live in it, all by ourselves. Mary can have my house. She can have everything that's in it.
I see. Well, when is Carl going to let you know?
Well, if Homer doesn't set an actual date with Myrtle while she's here, well, Carl says they'll never marry at all, and I can have the house.
Shh.
Who's that?
Oh, it's Carl. Look, Cora, you go inside and get Myrtle. Bring her out here to meet Carl. Otherwise, he'll never go into supper.
All right, Esty.
Mm-hmm. Oh, why, hello, Carl.
Who's that?
It's me, Esty. Well, you glad to see me, Carl?
I'm always glad to see you, Esty. How's David?
David's fine.
Glad to hear it. Wonderful man, your husband. Wonderful man. Even if he does think we're all morons. Is he still teaching?
Oh, no, he quit. He thought the president of the college was a moron, too.
Myrtle's here, Esty.
Oh, yes, I know. Let's go in and meet her, Carl.
No, not just yet. Just let's wait a minute. Fact is, I sort of had one of them old spells come on, Esty. I'm all right now, though. I'm fine. Great shape. It's just that, I'm not a stupid man,
No,
Esty.
I know you're not, Carl.
I'm not an educated man like David, but I'm not a stupid
one.
one.
Well, of course you're not.
Then where am I, Esty? Where am I?
Now, Carl.
That's what I say. Where am I in life? I'm caught,
Now,
Esty.
listen to me, Carl. Listen. Now, you don't think you're the only one who feels this way about things, do you?
Well, I don't know, Esty.
Well, I think lots of people feel the same way you do, only they don't go around having spells about it.
But I'm...
Now, just think of all that Cora's been through, never having a home of her own. Eri living with her and Thor all the time. And Thor, now, what about him?
Did Cora tell you about the house on Sycamore Drive, Homer's house?
Yes, she said you might rent it to her.
Should I, Esty?
Well, why not, if Homer isn't going to use it?
Now, Esty, Homer ought to marry that girl. He ought to leave this house, get out on his own, and it's bad for him here,
Well,
Esty.
now, that's up to Homer, isn't it, Carl?
Yeah, I guess it is. Esty, I always feel better talking to you. You're the smartest of all the sisters.
Well, that's very nice, Carl. What? Why, if it isn't Homer and...
Aunt Esty, this is Myrtle Brown. She's my fiancée.
Why, how do you do, Myrtle?
I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance, Aunt Esty.
Well, now. My, you're pretty. Well, you really are.
Why, Well, that is thank you.
And Myrtle, this is my father. Father, this is Myrtle.
Oh, I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance, Mr. Bolton.
Well, so you're going to be my daughter-in-law. Well, what do you know about that? Say, you are pretty. Darn pretty. Well, what are we waiting for? Take my arm, Myrtle. We're going into supper.
The curtain has fallen on the first act of Mornings at 7, produced by the Theater Guild on the air and presented by the United States Steel Corporation. Now, before we bring you the second act, here, speaking for United States Steel, is the well-known reporter of the American Broadcasting Company, George Hicks.
Good evening. I hope you had a good dinner today, and I hope you paid some nice compliments to the lady who planned and prepared the meal. She always deserves them. But right now, I'd like to pay some well-deserved compliments to the folks who made your meal and mine possible, the farmers of America. The men and women of this country's farms have always worked hard to keep this great nation well fed. But during the war and today, their production responsibilities have increased in many ways, and they've met those responsibilities magnificently. Our armed services were the best fed in history. Our allies, both fighters and civilians, received food in huge quantities. And our home front, too, was kept very well fed indeed. This fine record was due to hard work and better planning by farmers. But it would not have been possible without the wonderful advances that have been made in labor-saving and crop-saving implements. Yes, modern farm implements of steel have vastly increased the farmer's production, lightened his labors, and raised his standard of living. Steel implements help him to do a better job of preparing the soil, planting, cultivating, and harvesting. Steel fences the farmer's land. Steel shelters his animals, crops, and equipment. And steel brings many comforts, many time and labor-saving conveniences to his home and family. Perhaps the most important of all in helping our farmers do more work at less cost and in fewer hours is today's steel tractor. Without the powerful, efficient, and versatile tractor, it would have been impossible for America's farmers to do the incredible production job they're doing and have done so well. Tonight, U.S. Steel pays tribute to the American farmer. Without his labor, skill, and sacrifice, the war could not have been won. Without his vital production, the world would not move on to the better days that we all pray lie ahead. So let us never forget this deeply important fact. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, our farms are the backbone of our nation.
We pause now for station identification. The curtain rises on the second act of Mornings at 7 with an all-star cast including Stuart Irwin, Shirley Booth, Eileen McMahon, Ralph Morgan, Gina Dare, Howard Smith, Leona Roberts, Will Geer, and Ida Heinemann.
Well, Myrtle has finally met Homer's rather unusual family. All, that is, except Uncle David and Estie's husband. He hasn't appeared yet. Things have gone with unexpected smoothness so far, but the evening is young yet. Right now, they're all seated at the dining room table. The cold cuts and potato salad and chow-chow have been honorably disposed of. And so has the apple pie a la mode.
Everybody have enough ice cream?
Oh, yes.
Cora? Eric? What about you, Myrtle?
Oh, no, thank you, Mrs. Bolton. Oh, it was a lovely supper.
Homer? Carl? More ice cream?
No, thanks, Mother. My mother is a swell cook, isn't she?
She certainly is.
Wasn't the apple pie wonderful?
It was wonderful. Perfect.
Well, now, if you'll excuse me, everybody, I've got to leave now.
Oh, Estie, must you?
Oh, David will be simply furious. He'll skin the hide off me. That's what he'll do.
Estie, does he strike you?
Oh, no, of course not. He just draws himself up to his full height and looks down at me, and then he talks. Goodness, how he talks.
What's he say, Esty?
Well, it isn't what he says so much. It's just, well, it's the way he says it. Well, thank you, Ida, for a lovely supper. Oh, Myrtle, I was very pleased to have met you.
Likewise, I'm sure.
Sneak out again, Esty, and come and see us. And if David says anything, you just tell him. Goodness me, who can that be, I wonder?
Will any one of you congenital idiots inside kindly open this door?
It's David, my goodness, it's David.
Esty, it's him. Esty's not here, David. She's not here. Go out and tell him, Carl. He'll believe you.
Open this door. I demand admittance.
Go on, Carl.
I will not tell a lie
Esty,
to my
run
friend
away and
David.
hide.
Must I smash the lock?
No, David, don't.
Must I have recourse to the obsolescent approach of the primeval gorilla?
David, don't. I'll open it.
Well, good evening, my dear relatives. By marriage.
David.
Ah, Esther, my wife, is
David,
it not?
What are you doing here? I was just coming home. I really was. See, Myrtle is here, you see. I just ran down
She's only been here a minute.
Now, Ida's right. See, she phoned me that Carl was having a spell.
That's true, David. I had a spell.
But I'm all ready to go now. Oh, come on, dear. Well, what are you staring at? Why are you looking at us all that way?
And God created man in his own image. Male and female created he them. I'll never be able to understand it. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, David.
Cora, Aranetta, Ida, Thor, Homer. Have I missed anyone?
Uncle David, I'd like to present my intended, Myrtle Brown.
Really? And what is it you intend, Homer? Well, never mind. Good evening, Myrtle Brown.
Good evening. I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
Are you? Why, I wonder. Oh, well, never mind. Well, here we are all together again. Our own little circle. I must say you all seem very much the same.
That's very nice of you, David.
Yes, you're all just about the same. A little older, perhaps. But I can still see the same bright, intelligent expressions on your faces that I remember so vividly. Well, has no one anything to say? A conversational gambit? An opening wedge, perhaps?
It's nice weather we're having, isn't it?
Thank you, Myrtle. And now, before I leave you, there is just one thing more. You have all visited at my house. Not in recent years, thank goodness. But you have been there. Well, now, since Esther has decided it will be better for us to live apart from each other...
I decided no such thing.
From now on, I will be living on the lower floor.
For goodness sake.
Esther on the second. I shall have a new kitchen installed off my study, that we need not jostle each other.
What's he mean, Esther?
David, you couldn't.
What's he mean?
Silence. Thank you. Esther is a free agent now. She has a perfect right to have anyone she wishes visit her. Doubtless you will be there a great deal. Now, none of you will come into the lower floor where I shall reside, of course. But may I suggest that as you pass through the entry hall and on up the stairs, you be as silent as possible? Thank you.
But, David, you don't really mean it.
That was our understanding, was it not, Esther? It seems so to me.
But, David, these are my sisters. Now, they're all I have. I've got to have something in my life.
And now you have your sisters. Who am I to deprive you of that?
That's what I say. Who are you? I don't care. I haven't any right to treat you like that.
I don't think so either.
Please. David, dear, we don't do any harm. We just talk. I have a good time with my sisters. I don't care how ignorant they are.
Of course she doesn't. Give it to an Esty.
We're behind
I
you,
want to be
Esty.
able to come down here any time I want to. And I don't want to live on the second floor either.
Silence, silence, if you please. Thank you. Good night, Ida.
Well,
Theodore, Cora, Aranetta.
Good night, David.
Good night, Homer. Good night, Carl.
Good night, David.
Good night, Myrtle.
Good night. I'm delighted to have made your acquaintance.
You won't any of you forget my little reminder, will you? About being quiet when you visit Esther? You know, of course, how much you all depress me. Yes? Well, good night, then.
By Judas Priest, David can be awful nice when he wants to be.
If you want my opinion, David's an old fool.
David's no fool.
He is, Carl. He's nothing but an old
I
fool.
said David's no fool.
Why, Carl, whatever's the matter with Ida? Is he all right?
David lives straight ahead the way he was meant to.
Carl.
David knows where he is. He didn't branch off.
Carl, now stop that. Stop this instant. Esty.
Carl, please now. It's Esty.
David thought it all out way back there at the crossroads. Then he went straight ahead.
Oh, Carl, please. It's Ida, your wife. Please don't have a spell. Not now.
He lived his life just the way he planned it, but I branched off.
Oh, don't, Carl. Homer.
Here I am, Mother. Now, Father, you listen.
Don't you see? I took the wrong turn. I got lost.
Now, get hold of yourself, Father. You wouldn't want murder.
I got lost, and I've got to go back to the farm.
Oh, Carl. Don't say that.
Now, Father, stop it.
I've got to take the other way.
Father.
I've got to go back to the farm.
Oh, don't say that, Carl. Don't say it.
Father, stop it. You're hurting my mother. Now, you stop it.
I've got to go back.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
I didn't mean... I just mean that I got to go back to the fork. I've got to go the other way, that's all. I'll sit down now.
Oh, Carl.
Oh, never mind, Mother.
Oh, Homer, dear, it came so quick.
I knew it would. I knew he was working up to it.
Going back to the fork. Going back to the fork. I never did know what that means.
Oh, that's all right, Mother. I'll be here. I won't ever leave you, Mother. Never. As long as I live, I'll never leave you.
Homer, are you forgetting Myrtle?
Who? Oh, Myrtle? Well, gee, Aunt Esty, it's confusing. That's what it is.
Oh, that's all right, Homer. That's all right. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about... Don't worry about me.
Come with me, Mother. I'll take you to your room. Don't you worry. I'll take care of you. There, Mother. There.
Well, indeed. He ought to be ashamed of himself.
Esty.
Yes, Cora?
Esty. Homer will never marry Myrtle now, will he?
I don't think so, Cora.
Well, it's been a long day. I guess I'll go to bed.
Me too. You can sleep in the spare room next to mine, Esty.
Oh, can she, Irene?
Why not? It's empty.
If you'd rather I didn't, Cora.
Oh, no, Esty. Oh, I'd love to have you stay in my house. It is my house, you know, even if I have so little to say about it.
Cora, I'll leave your house. I'll never set foot in it again.
Mary.
Esty, dear, would you like to sleep in the spare room?
Well, thank you, Cora. I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
Oh, no trouble. No trouble at all. Good night, dear. Good night, Thor.
Cora, how dare you? You insulted me.
Good night, Harry.
Aren't you coming to bed, Cora?
No, I'll just sit here for a while with Carl until he feels better. Good night. Carl. Carl, do you feel better now?
I'm all right now.
That was a bad spell you had tonight, wasn't it?
Pretty bad.
Carl.
Yes, Cora.
Did you hear what Homer said?
No, I guess I didn't. I guess I wasn't listening very hard.
Homer just as good as said he'd never leave his mother, that he wouldn't marry Myrtle.
He did. Oh, too bad. Too bad.
Carl.
Yes, Cora?
Since Homer isn't going to marry Myrtle, can I rent the house you built for them on Sycamore Drive?
Why, do you want it so bad, Cora?
Carl, have you ever lived with a third person in the house, a relative? Have you ever had this third person take over the whole place like it was her own? That it gets so she's jealous of every minute you spend alone with your own husband? That's what I've had, Carl. Ever since I've been married, I've had it. Lord knows I like Harry. I love her, and she's my sister, I know, and I'm sorry for her. Sorry she's an old maid, but Carl, I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand it, I tell you what.
I didn't know it was as bad as that, Cora.
I never would have. asked you, dear, to let me have the house if I didn't know that Homer and Myrtle won't be living in it.
Well, how will that help if I rent you Homer's house, Cora?
Oh, don't you see, Carl? Then Thora and I will move into it, and Ari can have the old one. I'll give her the house and everything in it. I'll make a present of it, and she can have everything. All I want is to be left alone with my husband in my house.
Cora, you can have the house.
You're listening to KECA Los Angeles.
The curtain has fallen on the second act of Mornings at 7, produced by the Theater Guild on the Air and presented by United States Steel Corporation. Here again for U.S. Steel is George Hicks.
A few years ago, a southern farmer, as an experiment, bought several bushes of a new kind of berry called the boysenberry. He planted them, they prospered, and before long he had hundreds of well-filled bushes. But then a problem arose. Few in the South knew anything about boysenberries, and he knew of no market for them. The farmer wrote to a man he knew would help him. Within a few days, that man had found a buyer who took the entire crop. What's more, the farmer had orders to fill for all that he and his farmers could grow next year. Now, the man who performed that service without charge is a farm products agent, one of many employed by the Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company of Birmingham, Alabama, a member of the U.S. Steel family. Helping Southern farmers is that man's job. As an agent of the Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company, or TCI as it's known, he and his fellow agents in 8 other southern states work constantly to make southern agriculture better and more prosperous. The TCI farm agents have helped lead the South away from dependence on corn and cotton. They've helped establish many new and profitable crops, great new industries like raising cattle, hogs, and sheep, and many smaller businesses such as packing houses and processing plants, and have also done everything possible to find markets for these new products. Now, it may seem strange to you that a steel-producing company should be so interested in agriculture. It did to me, but the reason is very plain, and I think it's very good. The Tennessee Company is simply helping to create customers for the products it sells. The company manufactures many things for farm use, including fencing and metal roofing. Naturally, the sales of those things would not be very good if southern farmers had no crops or livestock worth fencing or covering. During the 20 years that the Farm Products Division has been in operation, its theme has been, as the South prospers and develops, so will the business of TCI. The company will continue to serve the South with enlightened and progressive business methods. For, like all members of the United States Steel family, TCI knows that its own best interests are firmly bound to the interests of its section and to the nation as a whole.
The curtain rises on the third act of Mornings at 7, with an all-star cast including Stuart Irwin, Shirley Booth, Eileen McMahon, Ralph Morgan, Jean Adair, Howard Smith, Leona Roberts, Will Geer, and Ida Heinemann.
Well, we're still back in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. It's the morning after a rather disastrous night. Homer's father has had one of his worst spells. I beg your pardon, moods. Homer has indicated he would never leave his mother to live with Myrtle, a wife he's been secretly married to for 7 years. And worst of all, his house, his and Myrtle's, their dream home of the future, has been taken away and rented to Aunt Cora. Yes, it's the morning after. Out in the backyard, the birds are feeling very gay indeed. But not Homer. No, not at all.
Oh, there you are, Homer.
Yes, Mother, here I am.
Oh, Homer, I'm terribly sorry about your house. Really, I am.
I don't want to talk about it, Mother. I've got to think.
Do you feel awfully bad?
How do you think I feel?
But, Homer, last night you said you weren't even sure you wanted it.
Mother, that was my house, Myrtle's and mine. Father built it for us.
Yes, it was, Homer, but...
And now it's not my house anymore. Now Myrtle and I haven't got a house anymore.
I don't suppose Carl thought you'd care, since you and Myrtle aren't going to use it.
We could go up and look at it, couldn't we? We could talk about it to each other, couldn't we? Now what are we going to talk about?
Oh, dear, I'd do anything to get it back for you.
What I'm going to say to Myrtle when she gets up, I don't know. It'll just about break her heart. She's told all her friends in Jersey City about her beautiful home. Well, now she hasn't got one anymore. We just took it away from her. Pretty small business, I must say. Invite a girl to stay overnight and then take her home away from her when she's asleep. Pretty small business. I don't know what the world's coming to.
Oh, I'll talk to Carl about it, dear, as soon as I can. He's inside with David drawing up plans about a new kitchen.
What's it all about? That's what I ask myself.
What's what all about?
All of it. Why hasn't Myrtle a home of her own? What's it all about that I'm 38 years old and still living here? Why haven't I got a home of my own?
But living here with us is what you always wanted, dear.
Why have I wanted it? I'm a man.
Of course, Homer.
Then what's it all about? Myrtle cried half the night last night. I heard her. And while she's crying her eyes out, they take our beautiful home away from us.
I'm so sorry, Homer.
I've got to think these things out.
My poor boy, my poor dear.
Go away, Mother.
What?
I said go away. I've got to think these things out.
Oh, Homer.
Good morning, Homer.
Morning, Myrtle.
Isn't it a lovely day?
Is it?
Oh, my, you can feel the sun on you as warm as toast. I thought maybe you'd like to take a little walk.
Oh, walk?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I woke up this morning. I thought, Homer and I'll take a nice walk till train time. Maybe we'll even go up and look at our new house even.
Oh, well,
Of course, if you don't want to.
It's just that I didn't sleep so well. I don't feel like walking.
Oh, what a shame.
I thought about things all night.
Now, don't you feel bad about anything, Homer. I've thought it all out. I see just what you mean about not wanting to leave your mother. I think it's very nice of you, dear. We could go on just the way we have been. Evenings and Sunday afternoons.
Well, it's not that, Myrtle. It's something else.
What?
It's about our house.
Oh, nothing's happened to it, Homer. It hasn't burned down or anything.
No, it's all right.
Oh, my goodness, you scared me. You shouldn't say things like that.
It's just that it isn't our house anymore.
Our house isn't our house anymore.
My father just rented it to Aunt Cora.
Our house?
Uh-huh. I guess after what I said last night, he thought we weren't going to be using it.
Oh.
Gee, Myrtle, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Of course it's all right. It wasn't our house, was it? Not really. It was your father's. You couldn't expect him just to keep it empty until 7 years. You couldn't expect...
I'll build you one myself, Myrtle. I'll build you a house that'll make that house look like a garage.
And I never even saw it.
Myrtle, I ought to have told them we were married a long time ago. I ought to have done it.
Why didn't you, Homer?
I got caught. Somehow or other, I got caught, like in a trap.
Yes, your mother. She always depended on you. You've told me that often.
I'm awfully fond of you, Myrtle.
Are you, Homer?
I'm fonder of you than anything I can think of. I think you're wonderful.
Thank you, dear.
I'm not going to let them get away with it. I'm not going to let them get away with it, do you hear?
Why, Homer...
We're going to get our house back, that's what. Aunt Cora's going to give it back to me. I'll make her. I'll tell them all about us, how we're married and all. I'll tell them everything.
No, Homer, you mustn't. What would your mother think if she found out you'd been lying to her for 7 years? No.
Myrtle, I'm 38 years old. I'm a man. I've got brains.
I've always thought you were very intelligent, Homer.
I'll think something up. Some scheme, and then I'll spring it on Aunt Cora. No, Uncle Thor. She's crazy about him, and she'll do whatever he says. We'll get our home back all right, all right. Come on, Myrtle.
Yeah?
No, not that way. Not through the house.
Why not?
Oh, my father and Uncle David are in the kitchen. Come on, Myrtle. Now, don't talk to me. I've got to think. I've got to think. This is the crisis.
David.
Yes, Carl?
Of course, it's just a supposition, David.
That's right, Carl. Just a supposition. Now, let us suppose that right now, at this moment, you are a dentist. Let's assume that.
All right, David, all right.
This kitchen is your office. You've got all your instruments, your chair, your tools.
X-ray machine.
X-ray machine, everything. And you're working on a patient. He's sitting there in the chair, and his mouth is wide open.
I've got the little mirror in my hand.
You've got the little mirror in your hand. And suddenly, do you know what you're going to say to yourself?
What?
Where am I? What am I doing here? I'm caught, just as you do now. And how are you going to answer yourself? You can't say, where am I? I'm a dentist. What am I? Yes. But that's not what you ask yourself, Carl. You ask yourself, where am I? Where am I in life? What's the meaning of it? And that's a very natural question, Carl. It's a question that a man like you must inevitably ask himself.
But the answer, David, what's the answer?
Ah, that's another thing. That's what we must find out. Oh, good morning, Esther, my wife. Good morning, Ida.
Carl, where are you going with that bag of tools?
I'm going back with David, Ida, helping to put in a new kitchen downstairs off his study so he won't have to jostle Esther.
You're coming back for lunch, aren't you?
Well, Ida, don't know as I can say. You see, David's been explaining things to me about where I am and all. Maybe I'll stay up there with him a few days and find out.
Now, what have you been telling him, David?
Nothing, Esther, nothing. We have been discussing the subdominance of the ego. We are achieving a very interesting thesis.
Carl?
Yes, Ida.
Carl, I've always been a good wife to you. I've always been faithful, and Esty, they're going to leave us.
Well, let them. For heaven's sakes, let them go and find out where they are once and for all.
Esty.
I said it. If they get to be as old as they are without knowing, the Lord knows it's high time for them to find out.
You see, Carl, as I was saying, there are some people who never ask themselves the question, where am I?
There are some people who don't have to. I know where I am. I'm on the second floor. And to tell you the truth, I'm beginning to like the idea pretty well.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, good morning, Thor.
Why, David, how nice of you to answer me.
My dear brother-in-law by marriage. My greeting was not in the form of a salutation, but rather one of farewell. Perhaps my meaning would be more explicit were I to say, I bid you good morning. Come along, Carl.
Well, now.
That David is a wonderful man, Esty. Those big words he uses. I can listen to him all day.
Ida, let's go out in the yard and get some sun. You coming, Thor?
No thanks. I'm waiting for Cora. She went down to have the gas turned on in Homer's house. See you later. That David. Perhaps my meaning would be more, I bid you good morning. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Uncle Thor.
Oh, hello, Homer.
I've got to talk to you, Uncle Thor. It's urgent.
Well, go ahead, Homer.
It's about my house. I've got to have it back. You see, I'd like to marry Myrtle.
By Judas Priest, good for you, Homer. It's about time.
You see, I've got to have it back.
Well, Lord knows I don't want to live there. But you'll have to talk to your Aunt Cora.
Well, then there's another reason.
Good. Tell it to your Aunt Cora.
No, I can't tell this to a woman.
What?
It's about Myrtle. She's going to have a baby.
What?
Uh-huh.
A baby?
Uh-huh.
You mean, you and she?
Uh-huh.
Well, for gosh sakes. Well, what the heck do you know about that? Well, I'll be double done. Here, let me look at you. Well, what the heck do you know about that? Well, if that ain't a pretty good one. By Judas Priest, Homer, I didn't think you had it in you. Yes, sir, you certainly had your old Uncle Thor fooled.
It's just one of those things, you know.
Sure.
Don't really know how it happened. Kind of lose your head sometimes.
Yeah, By Judas Priest, well, what the heck do you know about that?
Uncle Thor, can I have back my house now?
Can you have it back? Can you have it back? By Judas Priest, I'd like to see somebody stop you.
Cora, are you sure?
Of course I'm sure, Esty. Homer told Thor himself. For goodness sake, Esty. I gave him his house back.
Oh, well, I give up. I've seen a lot of things in my time, Cora. First the telephone. Now everybody said it wouldn't work. Now Homer.
Harry, and I know all about it.
Who told you?
Myrtle and I told Ida. Now everybody knows.
Oh, Harry, how did Ida take it?
Oh, she's pleased as punch. Can't wait till Carl comes back to...
You don't have to shush. It's only me.
Ida.
Oh, isn't it wonderful? Who'd ever think that my Homer... Oh, if only Carl were here.
Well, I see the four sisters are talking it over. If you could keep quiet for a minute, Homer and Myrtle would like to say goodbye.
Yes, we're leaving now. Bags all packed and everything.
Homer, where are you going?
On our honeymoon. Aren't we, Myrtle?
Yes, dear. And Aunt Cora, it was just lovely. Just lovely of you to give us our house back. I want you to know that we think it was just lovely. Don't we, Homer?
We certainly do.
Oh, well, you're both very welcome, I'm sure.
Mother Bolton, Aunt Cora, Aunt Ari, Aunt Esty, Uncle Thor. I just want to say that I think you're all the nicest people I've ever met. I've never met so many nice people before. I just feel like crying.
Oh, dear, if Carl were here.
Who's calling me? Who is it wants me to be someplace?
Why, Carl.
And David.
Yes, Esther, my wife, we have returned.
So soon?
Yes, my dear. We have learned that we cannot build a kitchen off my study. A matter of plumbing, Esther.
David, I could have told you there aren't any pipes in that part of the house.
Yes, my dear. You were always the practical one. Oh, Myrtle, I see you're leaving.
Yes, Uncle David. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful, wonderful. I never stay here a minute longer than I have to myself.
Carl, they're going on their honeymoon, Myrtle and Homer.
Already? What's the rush? Don't they have to get married first?
Oh, well, we'll attend to that when we get up there. Where we're going.
Well, what's all the rush? What's all the rush?
Well, they're in a hurry, dear. You see, that is, Myrtle and Homer, they, well, come here and I'll whisper it to you.
What? Oh, well, I'll be... what do you know about... You mean our Homer?
She certainly does.
Well, I'll be, Ida.
Yes, Carl.
Where am I, Ida? Niagara Falls, next stop, Niagara Falls.
Homer?
Yes, Myrtle?
Have a gumdrop?
No, thanks.
Oh, you were wonderful, dear, the way you bent them to your iron will.
I guess I was pretty good thinking up that yarn about you know.
Oh, yes, it was a wonderful idea, Homer.
I'm getting kind of nervous, though. Myrtle, what's going to happen, after a while?
What do you mean, dear?
Well, won't they be expecting? That is, after all, I did tell them that...
Oh, you mean the baby?
Yes.
Oh, well, I wouldn't worry about that, dear.
Huh?
You see, we
Yes, go on.
We are going to have. That is, well, we just are.
You mean that...
Yes. I didn't tell you before because I thought it might make you kind of nervous.
Well, what do you know about that? Well, by Judas Priest, what do you know?
The curtain has fallen on a Theatre Guild production of Mornings at 7, presented by U.S. Steel and starring Stuart Irwin, Shirley Booth, Aline McMahon, Ralph Morgan, Gina Dare, Howard Smith, Leona Roberts, Will Gear, and Ida Heineman. And here again is Lawrence Langner to tell you about next week's Theatre Guild play to be presented by the United States Steel Corporation. Mr. Langner.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week, we're bringing you Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne and Elizabeth the Queen, Maxwell Anderson's great historical drama and one of the Theatre Guild's greatest successes. It's the story of the love of England's most colorful queen and Lord Essex, who loved Elizabeth not wisely but too well, and who paid for his folly with his head. Mr. Lunt and Miss Fontanne will be playing the roles which they originally created on the stage, under the direction of Philip Muller, and in which they won ovations at every performance throughout the long run of the play in New York and on the road. We are very happy to be able to bring this famous play to your homes next Sunday and hope you'll all enjoy it.
The United States Steel Corporation hopes you'll be with us next week at the same time when we will bring you Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne in Maxwell Anderson's Elizabeth the Queen. If you'd like program notes and cast list of tonight's Theatre Guild on the air, prepared for each broadcast with information about the play and the players, simply address U.S. Steel Corporation, Radio Department, 71 Broadway, New York, 6. The staff for the Theatre Guild on the air includes Homer Fickett, Director, George Condolph, Producer, and Armina Marshall, Executive Director of the Radio Department. Music for tonight's play was composed and conducted by Harold Levy, and the play was adapted for radio by Arthur Aaron. Your announcer, Norman Brokenshire.
This is the American Broadcasting Company.
8 o'clock at KECA, Los Angeles.
The Jack Benny Program.
American.
Fine tobacco is what counts in a cigarette, and
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yes,
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, and in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts.
Year after year, at auction after auction, independent tobacco experts, men who spend their lives buying, selling, and handling tobacco, can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. Real Lucky Strike tobacco. Fine tobacco that means real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
At 59, American.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, yours truly, Don Wilson, and our guest stars, Victor Moore, Peter Lind Hayes, and Frank Capra.
Well, if it
is, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
Hello, Rochester. Is Mr. Benny in?
No, Mr. Benny took Miss Livingston to the movies.
Oh, well, when he comes back, will you tell him that... Say, Rochester, did you bake a cake or something? I smell melted butter.
Oh, that. Well, you see, every time Mr. Benny goes to the movies, I make him a bag of popcorn.
That's ridiculous. Why doesn't he buy it at the theater? With butter and everything, it must cost more to make your popcorn at home.
Theoretically, yes, but actually, no.
What do you mean?
Well, I make 2 bags, and he sells one of them to Miss Livingston.
Oh, I see. Well, in that way, you break even.
Break even? Since the OPA went off, we're showing a profit.
But, Rochester, don't you take a loss on the kernels that don't pop?
Mr. Benny will pop them if he has to take them to a blast furnace.
Well, as long as Jack isn't home, I think I'll run along.
If you care to wait, he ought to be back any minute now. They went to the neighborhood theater.
Gosh, Jack, I'm sure glad you took me to see It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's a marvelous picture.
Yeah.
I thought the direction was great. Jimmy Stewart was sensational.
Yeah, sensational.
Jimmy gave that part just what it needed. I thought his acting was superb.
All right, so his acting was superb. He's supposed to be a great actor. That's what he got paid for.
Well, Jack, I saw your last picture.
I returned the money. So don't be so smart. Anyway, Mary, don't get me wrong. I like the picture, It's a Wonderful Life, but it's awfully hard to believe that part where Jimmy Stewart's angel comes down and shows him what would have happened if he hadn't been born. I don't know, it's too fantastic.
Oh, you've been mad at pictures ever since they put out Bank Night.
I have not. It's just that I don't...
Oh, Jack, let's stop and look in this jewelry window.
Okay.
Gee, what gorgeous jewelry they have here.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Jack.
What?
Look at that beautiful engagement ring.
Mary, are you hinting?
Uh-huh.
Well, it won't do you any good. I'll never wear it. Come on, Mary, let's go.
No, I want to look at all these things in the window.
Okay.
Oh, Martha.
What is it, Emily?
Isn't that Jack Benny standing over there?
Well, I declare.
My, but he's handsome.
Every time I see him, I get weak and wobbly all over.
Oh, Martha.
It's the truth, Emily. He really sends me. And if I was 20 years younger, I'd go. Emily, who's that girl with Mr. Benny?
Why, that's Mary Livingston.
Look how tight she's holding on to his arm. I'd like to go over and pull her hair out.
Oh, stop being so irritable. You've been acting like this ever since Van Johnson got married.
You should talk, Emily. You broke your baseball bat when Lippy married Lorraine. Anyway, I think Jack Benny is...
Quiet. Here they come.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Well, hello there. Isn't it rather late for you girls to be out?
Girls.
Come on, Mary. Let's go. Gee, Mary, Wilshire Boulevard looks beautiful at night, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the light and... Say, Jack, isn't that Frank Capra?
Who?
Frank Capra, the man who directs the picture we just saw. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, it is. Hello, Frank.
Hello, Jack. Mary?
Well, this is a coincidence, Frank. We just came from seeing your picture.
Really? I go to that theater every day.
You go to see your picture every day?
No, I just go for the newsreel. I love to hear the governors of Georgia talk.
Oh, I see.
Mr. Capra, I want to congratulate you on your direction of It's a Wonderful Life. I thought it was great.
Thank you, Mary. How'd you like it, Jack?
Oh, I thought it was fine, Frank, but that part about the guardian angel was just a little too unbelievable.
Well, Jack, in the picture I didn't try to show what did happen. I tried to show what could happen if someone had never been born.
I know,
For
but-
example, what do you think would have happened if you'd never been born?
Well...
There'd be a lot more money in circulation.
Mary, stop. But all in all, Frank, I did think it was a very entertaining picture.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jack. Well, I have to run along now.
Oh, just a minute, Frank. I'm glad we ran into each other because I've been wanting to talk to you about a picture for me.
For you?
Yes, you see, the studios have all been after me, but I thought that you, with your great insight into human nature, might better capture my personality.
Jack, I'm late already.
Think of it, Frank, think of it. Frank Capra presents Jack Benny in King Lear. Then there's a tremendous blast of trumpets, and the scene opens with me in royal robes walking majestically toward the throne. Can't you just see it, Frank? Can't you? Can't you?
Jack, let go of his collar. His face is turning blue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow. Well, smog or no smog, it's good to be breathing again.
What?
Well, so long, King Lear. See you later. Goodbye, Mary.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Frank. Come on, Mary. I'll walk you home.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Oh, quiet. Rochester! Oh, Rochester!
Is that you, boss?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson dropped by, but I told him you were at the movies and he wouldn't wait.
Oh, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Come here a minute and... Rochester, what's that penny on the table?
Huh? Oh, while Mr. Wilson was here, he stepped into the bathroom and weighed himself.
Good. How much does Mr. Wilson weigh now?
I don't know, but you got a lot of broken tile in the bathroom. Say, boss, how'd you like the picture?
It's a Wonderful Life? Oh, very much, Rochester, but a little too fantastic. You know, the angel and everything. I don't know. Say, Rochester, I'm a little sick to my stomach. I'm going to the medicine cabinet and take something. There it is. A couple of swallows of this, and I'll feel much better. This ought to fix me up. Oh, darn it, I dropped the glass. Well, I'll just drink a little out of the bottle and... Oh, my goodness. Look at that label. This is iodine. I almost poisoned myself. Oh, boy, am I glad I dropped the glass. What a lucky accident.
That was no accident, Jack.
Huh?
I knocked the glass out of your hand.
You knocked the... Wait a minute. How did you get in here? Who are you?
I'm your guardian angel.
What? My guardian angel?
Yes, I've been watching over you all of your life. I've guided you and I've protected you.
Guided me? Protected me?
Yes, I governed every move you ever made.
Oh, you mean it's you who kept me from spending my money?
No, you've done pretty well with that yourself.
Thank you. But you saved my life, and you don't even know me.
Oh, you're wrong, Jack. I know everything about you. Remember when you were 7 years old, you broke a window and you blamed it on your sister, Florence?
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
And remember when you were 10 years old, how proud you were when you put on your first toupee?
That was for a school play.
Well, the play is over. Take it off.
Say, you do know a lot of things about me. Well, Angel, it was nice of you to save my life, and come again sometime. Huh?
Oh, I can't go yet, because, you see, I was sent down here to prove something to you.
Prove what?
I'm going to show you What would have happened if you had never been born?
You mean like what I saw in the picture tonight?
Yes. Come with me.
No. I'm not coming with you. No, sir, I'm afraid.
Oh, you're nothing to fear. Come on now, come on.
I'm not coming with you. Let go of my arm. Let go of my arm. Rochester! Rochester! That's funny. Rochester!
You have no Rochester.
What do you mean I have no Rochester? You've been my butler for 10 years.
No, he hasn't. You've never been born.
You mean there's no Jack Benny?
That's right. Now come. Come with me.
Hey, where are we? What are we doing in this department store?
This is the May Company.
Oh, yes. And there's Mary behind the stocking counter, like she used to be years ago. What is she doing back here?
She never left here. You see, you were never born to take her away.
Gee, she looks good.
Well, of course, she's been eating regularly.
Oh, this whole thing is crazy. I'm going over to Mary and ask her myself. Oh, Mary! Mary!
Yes, sir? What can I do for you?
What are you doing behind the stocking counter? Why aren't you on the radio?
Well, that's a new approach. They generally ask me why I'm not in pictures.
But, Mary, please, don't you recognize me? Don't you know me? Have you forgotten all about our radio work?
What radio work?
What work? Are you crazy? What do you do every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock?
I take a bath. Do you mind?
Mary, please listen to me.
I'll thank you not to be so familiar. Please call me by my last name.
Okay. Now, listen, Miss Livingston.
It's Mrs. Klingenpeel. Mrs. Herman Klingenpeel.
Mrs.? You're married? I can't believe... Just a little while ago, you tried to buy me an engagement ring. You can't be married.
Well, ask my husband. He's the floor walker.
What?
Here he comes now.
Oh, yes. Mister?
Yes?
Is this true? Are you two married?
Well, if we're not, we certainly gypped the bride and groom program out of a 2-week honeymoon.
Oh, stop. Mary, this is all a terrible mistake. Angel, where are you?
Just a minute. I'm opening a charge account.
Well, what's taking you so long?
They don't believe my address.
Never mind that now. Take me out of here. Take me to Dennis Day. He'll know me.
All right, Jack. Hold on. Here we go.
Angel, what are we doing here in New York City?
Why, don't you recognize this place? This is Studio H in NBC.
Oh, yeah. And there's Dennis Day walking up to the microphone. Oh, Dennis!
Sorry, Pop. No autograph.
I don't want your autograph. Dennis, don't you recognize me? I'm Jack Benny.
Who?
Benny. Jack Benny. Listen. Can it be the trees that fill the breeze with rare and magic perfume?
I don't know about the perfume, but your singing stinks.
Angel, he doesn't even know me.
Well, of course he doesn't know you. Jack Benny doesn't exist.
Doesn't?
You're still waiting to be born.
Waiting to be born? That's ridiculous. Look at my hair. It's gray.
Yeah, you've been waiting a long time.
Dennis, think a minute. I'm Jack Benny, the man you work for.
Oh, no, mister, you're wrong. I work for that man over there, the one with the baggy eyes.
Where?
Thank you, and welcome to... Hey, what's going on here? I've got a program to do, and I don't need any outside help.
Why, you're Fred Allen.
You were expecting maybe Uncle Remus?
Now, wait a minute, Fred, wait a minute. Don't you pretend you never met me either.
I'm sorry. I don't believe I ever had the pleasure.
Pleasure? Fred, look at me. I'm Jack Benny. The man you hate.
Me? Me hate anybody. Why, everyone knows Fred Allen loves the whole world. I love my writers. I love the NBC vice presidents and the censors, too. I love the little lads and lassies who ask me for my autograph as they wipe their little noses on my sleeve. And believe me, sir, I love you, too.
Angel, Angel, there must be something wrong. Fred Allen doesn't hate anybody.
Certainly, you weren't born yet.
Wait a minute, Fred. You and Dennis are just pretending you don't know me. But the rest of your cast will.
The rest of my cast? There are no other performers on my program, just Dennis and myself.
Oh, yeah? What about Senator Claghorn and Titus Moody and Ajax Cassidy?
Why, I thought everybody knew Dennis plays all those parts.
You mean Dennis is Senator Claghorn?
I'm from the South, son. I just got back from a party, and I'm in my cup. Dixie, that is.
Wait a minute. And he's Titus Moody?
Howdy, Bub.
Dennis, and you play Ajax Cassidy, too? How do you feel playing all those parts?
Oh, terrible, 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 terrible. And I'm not long for this world.
Cut that out! Angel, there must be someone who knows me. I know. Take me to see Don Wilson. He's worked for me for 14 years. He'll remember me. Don's been with me through thick and thick. I mean thin.
All right, Jack, I'll take you to see Mr. Wilson.
Gee, you're such an obliging angel. Don't you mind taking me from one person to another?
No, I get mortal to mortal pay.
Oh, good. Well, come on, let's go.
Well, here we are in Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington, Kentucky?
Yes, there's Mr. Wilson sitting on the porch. He owns this big tobacco plantation.
Hey, Don Wilson.
Colonel Wilson to you, sir. Waukegan, Illinois, named Benny. Nice people. Always wished they had a son.
They had a son. It's me.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but if you'll excuse me, I gotta talk to my tobacco pickers. Here they come.
The tobacco pickers?
Yes. Hello, fellas. You all.
You all? Don. Colonel Wilson. Hemo boy. That's my quartet, the Sportsmen.
I don't know anything about a quartet, sir, but these boys are happy in their work picking that fine, that light, that naturally mild Lucky Strike tobacco.
Don.
And they keep singing all the time, always singing. Way down upon the Swanee River, far, far away.
LSMFT, oh yeah.
There's where my heart is turning ever. There's where the auctioneers play. Where Effie Boone and Speedy Riggs learn to sing and chant. LSMFT, oh there's where my heart is turning ever. There's where the old folks stay. Effie Boone and Speedy still longing for the old plantation and for the old folks at home, old folks at
Fellas. Look, fellas. Fellas, don't walk away.
They've gone, Jack. Are you convinced now?
Yeah, I'm convinced. Angel, take me back home, please.
No, not yet, Jack. There's one more place I'd like to show you. Come.
Where are we? What town is this?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, why, that's where Phil Harris comes from.
Yeah, and this is the nightclub where he works.
Phil Harris works in this awful dump?
Yes, you see, you weren't born, so you never took him away from here.
Well, I'm glad. This is where he belongs. Let's go in and see him.
All right. Follow me right down these stairs.
Gosh, what a crummy nightclub. Look at the name of it. The Ruis Club.
What about it?
Ruis spelled backwards is sewer.
That makes very little difference to Mr. Harris. He can't even spell frontwards. Come on, Jack. Follow me down these stairs.
Way down. All right, watch your step. Let's rest. If I go down any farther, I'll get the bend.
Well, I don't like this any more than you do. I'm an angel, and the further down I go, the nearer I get to enemy territory.
Well, I guess it's just a few more steps down. Here we are.
Won't you come with me to Alabama? Let's go see my dear old mammy. She's frying eggs and broiling hammy, and that's what I like about the South. There you can make no mistakey, where those nerves are never shaky. Hot to taste her layer cakey, and that's what I like about the South.
Angel, isn't that awful?
Yes, that's why we send you so much thunder. We're trying to drown him out.
Thanks.
Well, folks, here I am again, your favorite master of ceremonies, Phil Harris. Funny thing happened to me today, folks. Guy walked up to me and said, Mr. Harris, where'd you get that black eye? So I told him it was a birthmark, and he said, a birthmark? And I said, yeah, I got in the wrong birth. Don't explain it to him, lady. If you don't get it, just let him suffer. Let him lay there. Don't tell him nothing.
Well, Phil Harris.
Pardon me, folks. There's an old heckler down here in the front row. Yeah? What do you want, Bob?
Phil, look at me. Look at me, Phil. Don't you recognize me?
I never saw you before in my life, Buster.
But I'm Jack Benny. I'm your boss.
What do you mean, boss? I own this joint myself. Lock, stock, and demi-john. That barrel. Don't tell me what to keep my bourbon in.
All right, so you don't work for me, but what does Alice think about you being here?
Who?
Alice Faye, your wife.
Alice Faye, the moving picture star, married to me?
Yes.
Hey, waiter, what's the idea of selling this old gentleman more than one zombie?
Look, I'm not drunk. Aren't you married to Alice Faye?
Of course I ain't. That's my little wife right over there. Hey, baby, come here. I'd like you to meet someone.
Any friend of yours is a friend of mine, talent boy.
Well, wait a minute. You should know me. You're my girlfriend. You're Gladys Zabisco.
Gladys Zabisco Harris, if you please, and I never went out with you in my life.
Look, honey, maybe you went out with a guy on a blind date.
I'd never get that blind.
But you must remember me. Look at me. Look.
Come on, Jack. I think we better be going again.
Well, all right, Angel. But I'm not licked yet. I'll prove to you that I was born.
Well, I'll give you one last chance. Where do you want me to take you now?
Let's see. I know. Take me to Warner Brothers Studios. They'll know me there.
Well, Jack, here we are at the studio.
Yeah, and there's the executive officer. Let's go in and see the Warner Brothers. See, listen to him laugh. Listen to him. Listen to him. Why are the Warner Brothers so happy?
Because you were never born, so you didn't make the horn blows at midnight.
Oh, I see. Listen to me, Mr. Warner. Listen to me. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Where do they go? Where do they... Oh, Angel. Angel. Angel, where are you?
Here I am, boss.
Huh? Oh, hello, Rochester.
I rushed in here when I heard a glass crash.
Oh, yes. I just dropped my medicine.
Your medicine? Boss, that bottle in your hand is iodine.
I know. I was just putting it back. Thanks, Rochester. Ladies and gentlemen, the part of the angel was played by Victor Moore, who will soon be seen in that wonderful picture It Happened on Fifth Avenue. Fred Allen was impersonated by Peter Lynn Hayes, while Frank Capra appeared through the courtesy of Mr. Capra. The bottle of iodine came from the corner drugstore.
Jack will be back in just a minute, but first, here is my good friend, Basil Rysdale.
As you listen to the chant of the tobacco auctioneer, remember LSMFT.
American.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts.
Mr. Floyd Green Clay of Versailles, Kentucky, has been an independent tobacco warehouseman for 26 years. He said,
I've seen American buy tobacco that's ripe and mild. Tobacco with real flavor and mellowness. And I know you can't beat that fine tobacco for top smoking enjoyment. I've smoked Luckies myself for 17 years.
Remember, at auction after auction, year after year, independent tobacco experts like Mr. Clay can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. No doubt about it.
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yes.
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, and fine tobacco means real, deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Say, Rochester, have you ever had a feeling that there's somebody watching everything you do? You know, somebody who knows every move you make, knows everywhere you go, even when you think he doesn't?
Yes, boy.
You know who it is?
Yes, now we should cut it out.
I don't mean me. Good night.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
The Radio Theater, your producer, Mr. William Keeley.
It's curtain time, and here's our first act, starring Irene Dunne as Anna and Rex Harrison as the King of Siam. One night in the year 1862, a British vessel paused at the harbor of Bangkok in the strange, half-barbaric country called Siam. 3 passengers were brought ashore. Mrs. Anna Owens, her young son Louis, and her East Indian servant, Bibi.
There's no one to meet you, Mrs. Owens. You're sure they knew you were coming?
Now, don't you worry, Captain Orton. I know you must get back to your ship.
Mrs. Owens, why did you come to Siam?
But I've told you, Captain. I've been engaged to teach English to the King's children.
Yes, of course, but this country, it's so totally different, ma'am. Why, there isn't even a British...
Who's that?
Why, it's Kralahome, the Prime Minister. He's come here.
But who's that wretched man, Groff?
Undoubtedly his interpreter. Just a moment. Mrs. Owens, may I present His Excellency Kralahome, Prime Minister of Siam. Chowkun, Mem Anna Owens.
Excuse, I am interpreter. Lady teacher?
Yes.
Have you friends here in city?
I know no one here.
Are you married?
I was married. My husband is dead.
Tung pua kong memiksi.
My master inquires how long husband is dead.
About a year. But I answered all these questions when I applied.
Ma hen blokari.
My master say if he asks, it should be enough for mem to answer.
Tell your master it is not necessary to pry into my personal affairs.
Mem bakwa I charik agad chow tong chuk.
Dagen ma dong fu gap janik.
Master says mem need not talk at all. His slaves will take her now to palace.
The palace? Oh, but I was promised a house of my own.
Mi tong hai pai bong.
Dai pai dai dong ka.
Master says if mem not wish to go to palace, she can go wherever she pleases.
Well, that's the rudest man I've ever met.
Mrs. Owens, you don't understand. He came here to meet you in person, the Prime Minister, and you're a woman.
Well, all I hope is that I'll have nothing more to do with him.
You'd better realize you can't do anything here without him.
Oh, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Come back aboard the ship. I'll have to find some way tomorrow of getting you an audience. Ma'am, in Siam, women do not exist. They simply do not exist.
Interpreter, you, interpreter.
Ma'am?
All morning long, I've been delayed, humiliated, endlessly questioned. Now, when is the Prime Minister going to see me?
I do not know. Oh, Chakun. Mem on. Master, see you now.
Oh, well, thank you.
Crew man hapradi praku.
Ma'am, His Excellency asked why you wish to see him.
Tell His Excellency. Oh, tell His Excellency, I did not understand the honor he paid me last evening. I'm sorry I behaved as I did.
That is true. You are really sorry.
What?
Do you truly regret sin of bad temper, ma'am? Or do you say so only to ask favor?
Your Excellency speaks English.
Not necessary to know everything in first minute. This boy here, you son?
Yes, Your Excellency.
What is name, boy?
Louis Owens, sir.
Are you afraid of me?
I don't think I'm afraid of you.
That is good. Ma'am, you object to living in palace, yes?
Well, as I said last night, I was promised my own house. I must have a place of my own.
What do you do in house that cannot be done here in palace?
Oh, you don't understand. I came here to teach because I must work to support my son and...
Why you not marry again?
Oh, no, not ever. The only thing I want is to bring up my son. That won't be easy in a strange country. That's why a home of my own is very important to me. Besides, the king promised it.
Sometimes His Majesty do not remember everything he promised.
Well, then you could remind him.
Ma'am, if I tell king he break promise, I will make anger in him. Wiser to make anger about more important matter.
Well, if you're afraid to tell him, I'm not.
I think I can arrange meeting, ma'am.
Oh, well, thank you. When?
I do not know. Unfortunately, you and New Year arrive at same time.
Well, all I ask is a few minutes.
After New Year is festival with firework. That will take week, maybe. Then it's time for cremation of late cousin.
Oh, but surely...
Following cremation, His Majesty receives sacred white elephant.
And just what am I supposed to do in the meantime?
Wait. Live in palace and wait.
This is ridiculous. I came here to teach.
Ma'am, this country has been here 1,000 years before you came and must continue. Now, I take you and young son to living establishment.
In the palace?
Highly favored portion of same. Immediately adjoining harem.
Harem? Oh, no. Oh, Louis. Oh, what a thing for me to do to you, Louis. You'll have to forgive me.
Mother, what's the matter?
Oh, I said we'd have a home of our own, and here I brought you straight into a harem.
Oh, that's a harem, Mother.
Well, it's... Oh, don't ask me now, darling. I just can't sing.
Boy, woman, object of much puzzlement. Much puzzlement.
Mrs. Owens. Yes, Phoebe, what is it? He is here. That man. Oh, the Prime Minister?
Yes, Mrs. Owens.
Oh, how nice of him to call after all these weeks. How thoughtful that he...
Ma'am, the day is here.
You mean the New Year is over, the festival has been observed, the late cousin has been cremated?
At least Mem is ahead of Sacred White Elephant. Firstly, let us observe approach to royal presence. On entering throne room, Mem, go to knees and proceed forward.
On my knees? I couldn't. I'm very sorry, but I couldn't.
King very sensitive about such matters.
But he cannot possibly expect me to crawl on the floor. I wouldn't do that for my own queen.
What you do in presence of queen?
I make a curtsy. Like this.
You do as you wish, Mem. But remember, you not only one with temper. This king has temper, too.
I can walk on my knees, Mama. Look, it's easy.
Louis Owens, you will bow exactly as I've shown you. Don't you dare crawl in like a worm. Don't you dare.
Maybe they don't like us here or something.
This whole thing is perfectly childish. It's absurd.
Let us go, Mem. I am thinking meeting with king shall be most interesting occurrence.
Mama, all these people, they're crawling on the floor.
Yes, dear.
That the king? That man walking up and down by the throne?
We'll soon find out. Remember, you're to bow, and that's...
Who? Your Majesty, I present new teacher, Mrs. Anna Owens and son Louis.
Now, Louis, now.
So, Mrs. Anna Owens, how old shall you be? You do not look like a scientific person for teaching of school. How old shall you be?
I am 150 years old, Your Majesty.
In what year were you born?
In 1714, Your Majesty.
And how many years shall you be married?
Several, Your Majesty.
How many grandchildren shall you have by now?
Well,
how many?
Well,
You do not answer that so quick. I make better questions than you make answers, Damn. My die. Ma'am, door, my die. You not be afraid, tell King something is not his business?
Well, it would not be a compliment to His Majesty if I were afraid of him.
Absence of fear, good thing in scientific mind. I think maybe you make very good school teaching. You come now with me. Now.
Give me your hand, Louis.
Yes, Mama.
And I take your hand, Mem. Save time. Time very precious to King. Come.
And may I ask Your Majesty, where are you taking us now?
I have show you wives of King, yes? Now I show you children. Wives have small understanding English language. Missionaries come one day, then depart. I have not time for continuance of teaching, being busy with foreign affairs and other situations. So I have fine idea. You teach wives and children. Siam be very modern country. Everybody speaking English.
Oh, I should be happy to teach them, Your Majesty.
Here. We pause on balcony. Below in courtyard, past children. There, you see? King's children.
Yes.
Mama, they're all his children.
Oh, hush, dear, hush.
You see? Fine procession.
How many are there, Your Majesty?
They are not all here, of course. Only those of proper age for school. I have 67 children. Not many. I began marriage little late.
Which is the eldest?
One who leads procession, Prince Chulalongkorn.
Oh, he's a fine-looking boy.
Fine boy, yes.
They're a wonderful-looking family, Your Majesty. You make me wish I had 67.
It's impossible. That is very funny.
Well,
You shall begin school next Thursday. That is best day for such undertaking according to astrologers. 150 year. How many grandchildren? You may go. June 12th, 1862.
You sent for me, Your Majesty?
Yes. You are English woman. Here is English newspaper from Singapore. You will see it says June 12th, 1862. Such date being of last week and therefore birthday for me. Why does English newspaper gravely insult King of Siam? Why?
Insult? I don't understand.
Birthday should be happy occasion, and what is occurring? It is writing about me here that I am spare man. King cannot be spare man. How can I be spare from work which is necessary? Who can fill my place? I asked you this. Who can fill my place?
Your Majesty, the word spare has two meanings. One of them is extra, the other means thin. The newspaper calls you a spare man, Your Majesty, only to inform the people that you are thin.
Thin? Thin? Why should you contradict me?
Contradict you? I'm only trying to help you.
Is it help to say king is wrong? How can king be wrong and woman be right? I asked you that. How?
Well, I'm afraid it has sometimes happened.
It is clear you are not scientific. You may go.
May I first inquire about my house? I'd like to get settled in it.
House? House?
The house you promised me.
Conditions different suddenly. It is our pleasure that you shall reside here.
But if Your Majesty remembers, you promised me a house.
I will do remembering of what I promised. It is our pleasure that you shall reside within this palace. And you shall obey.
I am prepared to obey all your commands as far as they concern my duties as a teacher.
You shall live in palace. You shall live in palace.
Good day, Your Majesty.
Come back. I command you. Come back.
You mean we're not staying, Mother?
That's exactly what I mean, Louis. Baby, drop whatever you're doing and start packing. Just where we're going, I don't know, but we're most certainly leaving this palace. How can a king be wrong and a woman be right? Indeed. Well, not even a king's going to talk to me like that. Come in. Well?
You remember me, ma'am, interpreter?
What do you want?
I have been ordered to personally conduct ma'am to new house.
House?
Yes. His Majesty graciously say he desire fully to observe terms of promise.
Well.
Is that you, Mother?
Yes, dear.
What's the house like, Mother? Is it near the river?
Oh, my boy. My poor Louis. That house, it's not only near the river, it's in the river. A shack on stilts. Oh, Louis, it was horrible. And the king, he did it to me deliberately.
We are packed, ma'am. The trunks are ready for moving.
Then unpack them. That man's going to give me a decent house if I have to stay here the rest of my life. I'll not just go away and let him sit there laughing at me. I'll not.
In a moment, we'll return with Act Two of Anna and the King of Siam, starring Irene Dunne and Rex Harrison.
When United States military personnel arrive at an overseas station, one of the first problems they encounter in human relations is the language barrier. The people there make a strong effort to learn our language. They know it will benefit their economy. But you don't have to learn their language. In fact, you might complete your tour of duty satisfactorily without any appreciable knowledge of it. But you'll miss a lot. And you don't have to miss anything. For as a member of the Armed Forces of the United States, you have the opportunity to enroll in a USAFI spoken language course. The language series includes courses in 24 foreign tongues. They are practical, conversational studies with primary emphasis on spoken usage. Inquire about a language course from your education officer. Join a group class. And when you've mastered the vocabulary, watch the faces light up as you greet people in their native tongue. It's one more version of Power Through Knowledge with USAFI.
Here's Mr. Keeley at the microphone.
Act Two of Anna and the King of Siam, starring Irene Dunne and Rex Harrison. At long last, Anna Owens has taken up her duties as teacher of the king's wives and children. But she's still without a house of her own. Patient but determined, Anna knows there are ways of reminding even so great a personage as His Royal Highness.
As our first lesson today, we shall learn some proverbs. Now, the class will repeat after me. A man's house is only less dear to him than his honor. A man's house is only less dear to him than his honor. Good. We'll get back to the Proverbs later. His Royal Highness was kind enough to furnish us with a piano. There's a beautiful song I should like you all to learn. Listen closely now, and I shall play it for you. It is called Home, Sweet Home. The words which I shall teach you remind us how dear to the heart is a home of one's own.
Music again. That music.
Music, sire.
Has my Prime Minister lost his ears? Did we not send to Singapore for pianoforte because Memoins requested same for teaching of songs?
Yes, sire.
Then where are songs? Only one song I hear for a whole hour now. One song. What is title of composition?
I believe it called Home, Sweet Home.
Ah, that woman in our house. That woman. And that infuriating song. Stop it! Stop it! Take a lesson from her, my friend, and you'll never give up on anything. Give Memoin's house. But give her house now before she drives me out of my mind.
The house is very lovely, Your Excellency. Thank you.
You are satisfied?
Completely. And now you can tell the king he can have it back.
Ma'am.
Not only shall I remain in a country like this and never, where promises mean nothing. I've waited this long only to make a stubborn man fulfill his obligation.
Ma'am, I warn you.
Warn me of what?
You enjoy triumph about house. You shall enjoy greater triumph now, as proud man humbles himself before woman. I ask, sir, that you shall stay in Siam.
I am leaving, Your Excellency.
Where do you go? Have you other place to put your life, sir?
Will you please stop calling me sir?
I call you sir so you will not be lowly like woman, but you everlastingly talk like woman. Men, there is need here for you. You know what is truth, and you have courage to speak it. The king has no one near him like you.
He doesn't need help.
Oh, men, why you not see? Why? The greedy men of Europe are at our door. They say Siam is barbaric land, so must be ruled by them. So king must learn all modern things now. He tries work too big for any man, with no one to help him. And to whom can he turn? Whom can he trust? He is very lonely man, and very strange man. And for him would I die.
Well, how can one teach when she herself has failed to understand, as I have failed to understand?
Ma'am, I cannot promise ever be easy for you here, but it will be a place to put your life. You will remain.
A place to put my life. I will remain. Sent for me, Your Majesty. I was asleep, but I got dressed at once, and what's happened? What's wrong?
Ma'am, I lie here on floor all night reading Bible. I think your Moses shall have been a fool.
Moses?
Moses. Here in Bible he says the 6 days. It took many centuries to create world. I think Moses shall have been a fool to have written so. What is opinion?
You sent for me at this hour of night just to ask me that.
Yes.
It couldn't have waited till morning.
Ma'am, you kindly consent to remain in Siam to help with study, etc., etc., etc. Do you wish help or do not?
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Your Majesty.
Then state opinion. Ma'am, look about room. Thousands books. Beneath this mountain is buried scientific knowledge. I ask you to consider this is very much reading for one lifetime. And how shall I do this understanding when different English books say different things?
Your Majesty, the Bible was not written by men of science. It was written by men of faith. It was their explanation of the miracle of creation, which is just as great a miracle whether it took 6 days or many centuries.
Well, I still think your Moses shall have been a fool. You may go.
The idea of Moses, 3 o'clock in the morning. Somebody ought to tell him a thing or two. That's all the studying for today, ladies. The class is dismissed. Oh, Lady Tuptim.
Yes?
Lady Tuptim, last night I returned very late to my quarters. On the way I saw a girl in chains. The guards told me she's your slave woman. They were taking her to prison.
She tried to run away.
Only to go to her husband? He wants to buy her freedom. Isn't there a law that says a slave must be freed if the money is offered?
What right has she to be happy with someone she loves while I am shut up here? You can have your law. I have the king. Go and find this out for yourself.
Thank you. I most certainly shall.
Mem, Owen, sir.
Yes, Lady Tian.
Mem, do not make quarrel with Lady Tuptim. She is no favorite of the king.
But I thought you...
Oh, no. No more.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Sir, not for me be sorry. I am Mother Royal Prince.
Prince Chulalonga?
Yes, sir. Yes. You like little boy?
Yes, of course.
It is hard for Royal Prince to learn from woman. But please, you help him gather all wisdom.
Yes, of course I'll help him, Lady Tiang. And I'm sure he'll do beautifully. Thank you for talking to me. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye.
I repeat, ma'am, why must you stir up tempest over Lady Tuptim's slave? I have much unpleasantness already because of this.
Because I think it's very wrong when the King of Siam upholds a wife who disobeys the law.
I am king here, as people can discover if not discreet.
You want Siam to take its place among the nations of the world. How can other countries trust a government in which one man sets himself above the law?
Why must you make entire household in uproar over one slave?
But this is important.
Ma'am, consider gracious Majesty Victoria, Queen of United Kingdom and powerful sovereign of British colonies and our most affectionate sister. Is she not above the law?
No, she is not. And in the United States, their president, Mr. Lincoln, is fighting a war for the exact same principles.
Ah, this sounds like progress in America pretty bloody. Who shall this Mr. Lincoln be? What is president?
He was elected by the people to be their leader. And I believe he studied very hard. He educated himself.
Ah, very difficult thing, as I know of sad experience. In this respect, Mr. Lincoln and I much alike.
He said something about progress once. He said true progress must bear some relation to man's character. It must have its roots in his heart.
Shall he be winning this war?
No one knows yet, Your Majesty.
Has he not got sufficient war elephants?
There are no elephants in America.
No elephants? Oh, no wonder he does not win war. We will write letter to him. Take pen, ma'am.
Oh, but I came to talk about the slave woman.
Take a letter to Mr. Lincoln.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Sondet pra paramen maha mankut. By the blessing of the highest super agency of the whole universe, King of Siam, and tributary countries adjacent and around in every direction, etc., etc., etc. To his most respected, excellent presidency, President of the United States of America. Occurred to us, in effort to be of slight service in present warfare, to send small gift of several pairs young elephants, which, upon being turned loose in forests of America, will increase in number. Come in, ma'am. Come in. Ma'am, you remember writing letter to Sir President Lincoln?
Oh, yes, Your Majesty.
Mr. Lincoln now reply.
Oh.
Here, you will read.
I appreciate most highly Your Majesty's offer to forward elephants which might be raised on our own soil. Unfortunately, the present jurisdiction of this government...
Jurisdiction?
It means authority, Your Majesty.
Jurisdiction?
The present jurisdiction of this government no longer reaches those latitudes southerly enough to favor the multiplication of the elephant. But I am warmly grateful for your Majesty's friendship and commend both your Majesty and the generous people of Siam to the blessings of Almighty God. Your good friend, Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, I think I like this, Mr. Lincoln. True progress shall lie in man's heart. Jurisdiction. But no elephant.
We have summoned you, ma'am, for assistance in affairs of state.
I shall tell her myself. Ma'am, can it be proper for English dignitary to see some of our women?
Women? But why not?
Siamese women very unlike English women. Dignitary will return and advise Queen Victoria I am barbarian.
What dignitary?
Sir Edward Ramsay is visiting here shortly.
Therefore, ma'am, you shall choose most beautiful women of harem and dress and educate same in European custom for presentation 5 o'clock post-meridian this Saturday.
But that's 4 days. That's impossible.
Ma'am, shall it be possible you are becoming lazy?
Well, I'm not lazy at all, but I simply can't.
Ma'am, situation for Siam very critical and murky. Our agents obtained letters written to British government from persons wishing to acquire interests in Siam. Letters describing me as barbarian and not suitable as ruler of Siam. Wherefore they suggest establishing protectorate, maybe.
Why, that's outrageous.
I have met situation by requesting official visit of dignitary. So now you see necessity of scientific dressing of ladies of court.
Well, I'll try, Your Majesty, of course, but...
But, can I never ask simplicity and have done with it?
Well, I merely think that if Sir Edward is coming, why not have others? The Dutch and the French and
all at the same time? Yes. You shall write invitations now. We hold elaborate feast. You shall arrange dinner table yourself, so everything be accomplished in highest scientific custom. You may go.
Go, but I can't go. What about 1,000 things? How am I going to dress 100 of your ladies in the latest style in 4 days' time?
You shall have all slaves necessary.
Well, what about knives and forks?
Knives, forks?
Yes, to eat with. Your guests couldn't possibly use chopsticks.
You have knives, forks in personal establishment?
Well, yes, naturally.
Kralahome, get knives, forks, and memo it.
And spoons, too.
Spoons, have them copied in gold. The craftsman shall work without sleeping until this is done. And if it is not done, each man shall be beaten 50 strokes. Ma'am, shall it be necessary for me to use knife and fork also?
It would be desirable. Would you like me to show you how?
That shall not be necessary. I have ability for proper use without lesson. You may go. Ma'am, it is exactly 5 o'clock lacking 11 minutes. Guests have arrived?
Everyone, Your Majesty.
Ma'am, wherefore are you decorated better than court ladies? Shall it be for my observation?
Your Majesty.
You are fine. Very fine indeed. Herewith shall be list of subjects for you to bring up at dinner table for talk. Make observation.
Siamese history. Foreign trade.
On such subjects I am very brilliant and will make fine imprint.
Building of palace. Abraham Lincoln.
Also Moses. Very much Moses. You will please to join visiting excellences and remain close to Kralahome. We three together, we have much responsibility this night.
Our guests, ma'am, they seem to enjoy dinner, yes?
All but the king, Your Excellency. Look, he hasn't touched his food.
Knife and fork, ma'am. He fears he will embarrass. You have not touched the food either.
No. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can prevail upon His Majesty to repeat it, he made a most interesting point the other day about Moses.
Yes, Moses, a very remarkable man. If you remember, Moses wrote in the Bible that the world was created in... Good friend Mr. Lincoln recently replied. Unfortunately, present jurisdiction of Mr. Lincoln's nation did not favor multiplication of elephant, and we considered idea not practical.
Your Majesty.
Sir Edward Ramsay?
I was not aware that Your Majesty was so familiar with the war in America.
This is exactly impression I hope you will correct. Court of Siam, through much study thereof, is familiar with happenings of entire globe of modern world. And now, honor guests, please to remain in chairs. Come soon dessert and cups of coffee.
Take off my shoes, Beebe. Oh, please, I can't move.
Dinner party was success, ma'am?
Oh, yes, I think so. But if I have to budge, I shall faint from exhaustion. In 4 days, I've slept exactly. Oh, no. No.
King's secretary, ma'am. I know he's knocked by now.
Oh, what does he think I am? Any hour of the day or night? I won't. I simply won't. I won't.
Well, then, wherefore do you not sit down when I am in same position?
Yes, Your Majesty.
I have experienced very fatiguing day.
So have I, and it's very late.
Are you aware of why I am consuming food at this hour? I am so hungry, I was sick. Very sick. However, I shall tell you that after conversation with Sir Edward, we are in accord with British government regarding consulates and other matters relating to security of this nation, and very happy thereof.
Oh, I am very happy too, Your Majesty. Very.
Shall you be hungry, ma'am?
Terribly. I haven't touched a morsel since breakfast.
Here, accept new gold spoon. 1 bowl only to partake from, but plenty for 2. Plenty for 2.
In a moment, we'll return with the third act of Anna and the King of Siam, starring Irene Dunne and Rex Harrison.
It's not likely, but it is possible that some of you listening were once Senate or House page boys in the United States Congress. We say not likely because it's for guys between 14 and 19 who are appointed to these jobs by their home state senators or congressmen. Every day Congress is in session, page boys have to be in page boy school by 6:30 a.m. and attend classes until 9:30. Then it's into the solid blue suit and on the job. All day it's catering to every need and desire of the men who make the laws. A page may hop the electric subway cars and run to the House or Senate office building, pick up something in the committee rooms, or deliver an armload of books to the Library of Congress. That's after already making sure that the senators' or representatives' desks are properly equipped. We're not urging you to try for a page boy job because you're too old now. Besides, a page gets only $3,400 a year. But it is part of the operation of your Congress, and we thought you'd like to know. Maybe you could even write your kid brother about it.
We return you now to William Keighley.
Act 3 of Anna and the King of Siam, starring Irene Dunne and Rex Harrison. As the months pass, Anna labors at her school with a zeal matched only by that of the king himself. But one morning she discovers she is a teacher without pupils, for only Lady Tiang is on hand.
Where is everybody?
I think no school today, ma'am, sir.
Why not, Lady Tiang?
You do not say I told you, sir. Lady Tocqueville has been found.
Lady Tocqueville?
You did not know she had run away from palace?
Why, no, I understood she'd been ill.
She escaped in robes of priest, sir. Very grave offense to God and king.
Oh, what will happen to her?
What has always happened in such cases, sir.
Why did she run away?
There is whispering she loves someone other than king.
Another?
Who? I do not say any more, ma'am. Goodbye, sir.
Why you say you must see me now? Why?
Because it's about Lady Tupton, Your Majesty.
Better you understand at once, ma'am. This matter is no concern to you.
It concerns me dreadfully. Because of her and even more because of you. Before I came here, I went to the prison.
You dare?
They're being tortured, Lady Tupton and that man. They're trying to make her confess to something that isn't true. She wasn't found with this man. She only went to her home.
I do not wish to talk more about it.
But there must be some law.
I am the law.
Yes, you. This girl has hurt your vanity, not your heart. You don't have a heart. You're a barbarian and you'll never change. All that you've worked for, it's nothing but a lie to cover your caprice and passion and self-indulgence.
Ma'am, assuredly Lady Tupton and lover must die for sin. It is our custom in such cases to employ fire and stake. How shall you like if I make you watch what I shall do?
And so I have come before you, my pupils, for the last time. As you may have heard, I'm leaving Siam.
Oh, no,
I shall miss you all deeply.
Memcha, we are wishing to say something to you.
Yes?
So difficult to speak what is in heart. We prepare written scroll, Memcha. May we read same?
Of course.
Dear friend and teacher, my goodness gracious, do not go away. We are like one blind. Do not let us fall down in darkness, but continue good and sincere concern for us, and lead us in right road. Your loving pupils.
Thank you. You can't imagine. You can't imagine. Excuse me, please. Excuse me.
You'll come my house, sir? What you wish of me?
To say goodbye, Lady Tiang. I've seen very little of you lately. Somehow I have a feeling you've been avoiding me.
Mem, it is time to speak truth. You permit same, sir?
Of course.
Has Mem ever observed paintings there on wall of room? Paintings of trees?
Yes, they're very beautiful.
They tell a story. Here, this straight young tree, like unto me when I became first wife to my lord, who is great tree here. Flowers all around. But here, other trees grow up between my lord and me. That is custom. King takes many wives. And here, my lord, great tree grows very high, trying to touch stars. But branches now are bare, not green with leaves to make kind shadow from sun. Flowers gone. Small tree, which is me, droops and withers. But here beside me is growing very small tree. This is my son who shall be king one day. Observe, I try to shelter him, but cannot. I am very small because I am woman.
But this last painting, it isn't finished.
No, I have no wish to paint it. Mem, you should have helped him. My little son.
Well, I thought I had, Lady Tiang.
Lessons in books, yes. But he wished for such love as your son has. This you could have given him that I could not. He is one you fail. And I shall remember you for this failure every time I look at my son, as long as I shall live.
Lady Tiang,
Mrs. Owens. Mrs. Owens, ma'am.
Yes, baby, what is it?
Oh, Mrs. Owens, ma'am. Louis, it is Louis.
Well, what are you trying to tell me?
He and the prince, they were riding their ponies. There was an accident,
No.
ma'am. He's hurt.
Louis,
Terribly hurt.
May May I enter, Mem?
Come in.
British doctors arrived from Singapore.
There with him now. He's dying. My boy is dying.
3 days now. He still not speak. He still lose conscious.
Thank God for that. At least he's not suffering. Oh, why did I bring him to this terrible country?
Mem.
It's my fault. It's all my fault. I've killed my boy.
Mem, I have something to read to you. It is from King, who writes thus. Calamitous accident befalling affectionate boy Louis causes great sorrow to His Majesty and royal family, since boy is beloved by all as if member of said family. As sign of regret, that event of such sorrowful nature must be arriving to those deserving of better happiness. The 10th of September is appointed day of prayer with ceremony of fireworks, justice for member of royal family, as mark of sad respect of said nation. Mahamongkut, King of Siam. It took him long time to write it, men. He wrote it many times.
It's very kind of him.
Mem, he tries to say in letter that he is sorry not only about son, but about execution of Lady Tuptim, that he was wrong. This is first time he ever say he's sorry to any person.
Please thank him for me.
I thank you, ma'am.
Come in.
Memcha.
Chulalongon.
Memcha, I wanted to ask, do you remember this?
Yes. Yes, his pocket knife.
The day we ride ponies, Louis gave this to me. I did not give him anything, and there is something I would give to him now, I think. It is white, not all white, but whiter than most, and it is mine. So if you would not mind accepting it...
What is it?
My elephant. It is almost white.
Oh, you like Louis, don't you?
Like brother Memcha. And if Louis perish, it would please him if you had something that could take care of you. He is very strong elephant, Mem.
But if you gave him to me, who's going to look after you? Look at you. You're growing so fast. Your wrists are sticking out of your jacket. Somebody really ought to look after you.
Ma'am, he must not die. He must not die.
Mrs. Owens.
Yes, Doctor.
He's asking for you. He's talking, Mrs. Owens. No, he wants you.
September 12, 1863. I thank Almighty and merciful God, for He has spared me my son. He has spared me my son.
Mem, this morning I observed British doctors departing for Singapore. Son now fully improved?
Completely, Your Majesty. How can I thank you?
Such things I do. Not important. Mem, you still determined to take self and boy back to England?
I don't know. I've hardly thought about it. My mind, it's been so...
I, too, have mind incapable of grasping burden of situations. I become every day more and more behind with work. Oh, much confusion, weariness, etc., etc. For instance, I am much worried whether I shall send delicate, suitable display, etc., to great exhibition of Paris. What is opinion?
Oh, it sounds like an admirable idea, Your Majesty.
Mem, I think you shall not give opinion so quickly without thinking. Maybe Frenchmen in Paris have murky reason for suggesting such exhibit. Why do you not think of this? It would be vast help if you would examine correspondence for such murky propositions. This I am too overburdened to do myself, and there is no one else with scientific knowledge to be trusted. This shall be much important, Mem. What shall answer be?
I can't, Your Majesty. I'd like to, but I can't.
You still not forget unhappy infant Lady Tuptim? I not forget either. But what shall you be doing if you do not go away?
I don't know. Perhaps my boy's recovery is a sign I should remain here. If it is, I'd like to keep on with my school, I think. I'd like to keep on with my school.
But, Mem, only school teaching?
It's the children. Don't you see, I owe so much. And to whom can I make repayment if not to them? Yes, it's the children I want. It's the children.
Very well. I think if you do other work, such as letters, such arrangement could contemplate raise in salary. Very, very well, Mem. Children come before king.
April 5th, 1870. Louis and I have been in Siam now for 8 years. I fear it's quite hopeless for me ever to try to confine my efforts to teaching school. The king is obsessed as never before with the progress of the country. He works like 10 men. He's ill now, or I should not have the time for noting even this. I'm to see him tomorrow morning about plans for the... Yes, who is it?
You must come, ma'am, at once. Quick, ma'am, the king. He worked late into the night. They thought he had fallen into sleep as he has so often lately, and they let him rest.
They who?
The doctors, madam. I sent for them. He's ill, very.
Ma'am.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Wherefore have you not arrived more quickly?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You mustn't talk now. The doctor said...
But I shall talk. There is not much time. I die, ma'am.
No.
Ma'am, I know if I die or do not die. I think of many things while I am lying here. I write these things down. I think maybe it would be better Alec should read them. Kralahome, you shall be listening too, old friend. There shall be words for you, too.
Yes, Majesty.
The king has written, I think there shall not be much importance that a man shall die, for it is time that does all true things, not man. Then I think it shall be important to consider those who have been of most help.
Oh, words. Destroy paper. Destroy. To you, mem, I wish to say you have spoken truth to me, always. Even when I do not wish to hear it, you have always courage to say when I am wrong. You have set feet of children on excellent path of learning, so that if some shall grow better than parents, it shall be your doing. And as reward, what shall I have done? I have often mislaid temper upon you. I have never spoken gratitude of feeling. I haven't even given promised raise in salary. I do not wish to die without having said that gratitude and large respect that shall have become greater every day. But, ma'am, if I have not graciously said this gratitude before, you must remember you have been a very difficult woman, and much more difficult than generality. Generality. Good word. It means...
Never mind.
True progress shall...
We'll call priests, ma'am. Too late now for doctor.
He tried so hard. No one will ever know how hard. It was so difficult to let anyone help him. He wanted to, but he couldn't.
Ma'am, come. ceremonies crowning of new king about to commence.
I'm coming. He was like a little boy sometimes. You remember about the knives and forks? And he was sick that night. He cared so much. They didn't know he cared like that. Nobody understood. Not really.
It seems long time ago I tried to make you understand this man. I do not think I said it half so well.
What will happen now? All his work, his hopes.
Young King Chulalongkorn will have much need of you, too. It was meant that you shall stay and help, ma'am.
Let this, our first message as king, be proclaimed to our people, not as if we were doing a great and lordly thing, but only what is proper and fitting. That from this hour, the ancient custom of obeisance to the king on hands and knees is abolished. You will rise, my people. Let all men stand before the king and before one another, as men should do. Many are the changes that my father, the late king, yearned and struggled for. And for these same ends shall I devote my own life, praying that we shall work and live together in respect and high purpose for the good of our fellows and for the good of our country.
Mem Owen. Lady Tiang. The painting on my wall is finished, Mem. The little tree is now full grown and richly green and flourishes greatly.
That well-deserved applause invites a curtain call. And here are tonight's stars, Irene Dunne and Rex Harrison. Two reasons, I'm sure, why Anna and the King of Siam was such a favorite among moviegoers.
Thank you, Bill. It was fun playing Anna again opposite Rex Harrison.
And I'm glad, Rex, that Hollywood was able to coax you over here to play the role.
Well, Bill, it was the kind of part I couldn't resist. Completely different from anything else I'd done before.
Good night.
Good night, and come back again soon. This is William Keeley saying good night to you from Hollywood.
The American Forces Radio and Television Service.
The National Broadcasting Company, in conjunction with the Fund for Adult Education, presents Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville.
In Europe, Christianity has been intimately united to the powers of the earth. Those powers are now in decay, and religion is, as it were, buried under their ruins. The living body of religion has been bound down to the dead corpse of superannuated policy. But the Americans combine the notions of Christianity and of liberty so intimately in their minds that it is impossible to make them conceive the one without the other. Despotism may govern without faith, but liberty cannot. For what can be done with the people who are their own masters if they are not submissive to the deity?
The Cement of Democracy. A study in American religion. Item 6 in the series Democracy in America, prepared by the Division of General Education of New York University, under the direction of George Probst, American historian. A series designed to bring to life the America of 1831, as recorded by Alexis de Tocqueville, and so to illuminate the image of democracy itself. A study in American religion. The Cement of Democracy.
It must never be forgotten that religion gave birth to Anglo-American society. In the United States in 1831, religion has, as it were, laid down its own limits. Religious institutions have remained wholly distinct from political institutions, so that former laws have been easily changed, while former belief has remained unshaken. In the United States, Christianity is an established fact, but Christian sects are infinitely diversified and infinitely tolerant. This struck us very forcibly on the Sunday Beaumont and I spent in the great prison of Sing Sing, where the warden showed us the chapel.
I guess we're a little late for the sermon. Looks as if the preacher's just delivered it.
What sect is the preacher?
No, I don't rightly know just who was up this Sunday. There was some talk of a Presbyterian, but maybe it was one of the Methodists. Tell you this, though. We have trouble getting good chaplains out here at the prison.
Why is that?
Don't pay enough, I guess. Even the preacher's got to live, you know.
Do all the Methodists go to church one Sunday, and all the Presbyterians the next, and so on?
No. All the men go every Sunday. We just let each of the preachers talk to them in turn. It all works out very well, just so long as they stick to general morality and don't go pushing dogmas too far.
But this is astounding. Beaumont, do you hear what this gentleman is telling us?
What is he telling us?
That it makes no difference what sect the minister represents.
So long as he gives them general Christian morality.
To criminals, then, there is no one church that is the true faith.
And you'll find the same outside the walls. As far as religion goes, you'll find a lot of toleration over here. A lot of toleration.
Well, Tocqueville, I should very much like to know how a lively and sincere faith can get on with such a perfect toleration. How can one have equal respect for religions whose dogmas differ? What real influence on the moral conduct of these Americans can be exercised by this religious spirit whose outward manifestations are so noticeable?
Well, the extreme religious tolerance is due to the very multiplicity of sects. If there were only two, they might cut each other's throats. But no sect having the majority, all have need of tolerance.
But might it not be that this outward show of religion has more breadth in it than depth? Might not all these sects compete with one another in the minute observance of their cults and of the moral principles which religion commands? Might they not compete, Tocqueville?
I should think they sometimes do.
Oh, then, perhaps some of the religious zeal is due to conceit and emulation rather than to conviction of the truth.
No, that I do not believe. Frankly, I consider the United States one of the most religious countries that I have ever encountered. Consider how zealously they observe their Sunday. In the United States, on the 7th day of every week, the trading and working life of the nation seems suspended. All noises cease. A deep tranquility succeeds the turmoil of the week. On this day, the centers of trade are deserted. Every member of the community, accompanied by his children, goes to church. where he listens to a strange language which would seem unsuited to his ear. He is told of the countless evils caused by pride and covetousness. He is reminded of the necessity of checking his desires, of the finer pleasures that belong to virtue alone, and of the true happiness that attends it. How silent New York is.
How empty.
The streets are deserted.
You can see that Sunday is very different from weekdays.
Listen, here comes a carriage. You can hear it.
There it goes across the square. No, it's being stopped. How very odd. That man in the checkered greatcoat is stopping it and turning it back. What can be going on?
Let us by all means hurry over and find out.
Well, I don't know. The service should be out in about 15 minutes. Then you can go through here.
Well, lead the horse round for me, will you?
Happy to oblige. Up there. Come on, up. Morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. Might I inquire why you are turning back carriages?
You gentlemen from foreign parts?
We are from France.
Ah, well, that accounts for it. What I'm doing here, gentlemen, is protecting the worshippers in that church over there from being disturbed by passing carriages. It's my turn to do this for the church this Sunday.
How unusual.
You're wrong there. In some neighborhoods, it's quite the regular thing to ask people not to drive past during divine service. Why, the religious severity of Philadelphia is so great that they put up chains across the streets on a Sunday to prevent horses and carriages from passing. And in Massachusetts, they used to put you in jail for traveling on a Sunday. New York, too.
We have only been here a few weeks, but we have noticed that your people invariably make a point of attending some church service.
No, you don't have that straight. Go down and take a look at the Hoboken ferries. Every single Sunday, you'll find 10,000 people going over to the country for a breath of fresh air and a sight of green fields. Every Sunday, out they go to Harlem, too. And in the evening, you'll see the folks coming back from the woods and fields of Harlem, all laden down with green boughs and bunches of flowers. Lovely sight. You see, Sunday's probably the only day the working man has a chance to take his family and wife out for an airing.
Well, you will never make a man who labors all week spend all day Sunday thinking.
In other words, Americans are not as conscientious in Sunday observance as we had thought.
Oh, no, now. It'd be a great mistake to think that. Heard of what they call the night blooming cereus?
I have heard of it.
It's a flower. You wait years for it to open. Well, there's one near here. Last year it opened. But it chanced to be on a Sunday evening, and a lot of people wouldn't go to see it. Conscientious scruples.
The sentiments do them credit.
How do you make that out? If there's anything wrong in coming out on a Sunday, I should have thought the flower might have known about it. May I inquire what church you gentlemen belong to?
We are Roman Catholics.
Well, we have plenty over here. We have plenty of everything. Any kind of religion you want. Just the other day, I was in what they call a revival meeting right here in the state of New York. 40 days and 40 nights, relays of ministers kept it going. Over here, gentlemen, you'll find any kind of religion you want. Oh, I see they're coming out of church now. Good day, gentlemen. Hope I've been of some assistance to you.
To be well received in society, it is indispensably necessary to declare that you belong to some one of the regular sects. Now, the Methodists are considered as the most pious, the Presbyterians as the most powerful, the Episcopalians and the Catholics as the most genteel, the Universalists the most liberal, the Swedenborgians the most musical, the Unitarians the most enlightened, the Quakers the most amiable, the Dancing Shakers the most amusing, and the Jews the most interesting. I know a respectable family where one is a Methodist, one a Presbyterian, and a third a Universalist.
The religious state of this people is perhaps the most curious thing to examine in America. It's incredible to see the infinite number of subdivisions into which the sects in America have split. It may fairly be believed that a certain number of Americans pursue a particular form of worship from habit more than from conviction. In the United States, in spite of the separation of church and state, the sovereign authority is religious, and consequently hypocrisy must be common. But there is no country in the world where the Christian religion, particularly the Old Testament, retains a greater influence over the souls of men than in America.
I never saw or read of any other country where religion has as strong a hold upon the ladies. In Washington, the Presbyterian ladies go to church 3 times every Sunday. Episcopalian and Catholic churches are filled with elegantly dressed females. And each, of course, acts upon the universally recognized national principle that each and every one has a right to choose a creed and mode of worship for herself.
The religious and anti-religious instincts which can exist in man are developing here in perfect liberty. Now, we often remarked that the American clergy, in general, not even excepting those who do not admit religious liberty, are all in favor of civil freedom. During our visit, we spoke to many men of the church. Father Richard, for example, in the frontier territory of Michigan, was perhaps not used to interested inquiry.
It is very good of you, Father Richard, to tell us about your work.
I am only glad that you are interested. I am so used to indifference.
Indifference, Father? But the people of Detroit sent you to Congress to represent the Michigan Territory.
But not the Catholics, the Protestants. How could they have elected a Catholic priest if they were not indifferent to religion?
Beaumont and I have noticed an extreme tolerance in American religion.
An extreme indifference, you mean? Nobody asks what religion you belong to. They only ask what you can do. And after all, we know where all this leads.
For the life of me, Father, I don't see where.
To deism, to natural religion, religious rationalism, skeptical of revelation and contemptuous of dogma. That is one alternative. The other, of course, is Catholicism. But don't take my word for it. See what the other priests have to say. See if they don't agree with me.
It is very good of you, Father Power, to receive us with such cordiality.
I'm very happy to be of service to you gentlemen. Another glass of wine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know, it's a very odd thing, Father Power. While we were at the service, we almost imagined ourselves back in France. Tocqueville here, in fact, spoke to one of his neighbors in French, and I think very much surprised him. But when you came to preach your admirable sermon, we knew at once that we were in America and not in France. And not only because you were speaking in English.
What did I say that seemed to you so remarkably American?
It was not what you said, perhaps so much as what you did not say. You seem to have no prejudice whatsoever against Republican institutions.
Certainly not.
Do you think the support of the civil power is useful to religion?
On the contrary. I am profoundly convinced that it is harmful. I know that the majority of the Catholic priests in Europe have a contrary belief. I understand their point of view. They distrust the spirit of liberty, whose first efforts have been directed against them. Having besides always lived under the sway of monarchical institutions which protected them, they are naturally led to regret the loss of that protection. They are therefore victims of an inevitable error. If they could live in this country, they would not be long in changing their opinions. All religious beliefs are on the same footing here. The government neither sustains nor persecutes anyone. And doubtless there's not a country in the world where the Catholic religion counts adherents more fervent and proselytes more numerous. I repeat, the less religion and its ministers are mixed with civil government, the less part they will take in political dissensions, and the more power religious ideas will gain.
In France, the church has, of course, been in opposition to republicanism.
Over here, there's such a thing as the separation of church and state. Several of the states have it written into their constitutions. New York State's one of them. Let's see, how does it go? And whereas the ministers of the gospel are, by their profession, dedicated to the service of God and the care of souls, and ought not to be diverted from the great duties of their functions. Therefore, no minister of the gospel or priest of any denomination whatsoever shall at any time hereafter, under any pretense or description whatsoever, be eligible to or capable of holding any civil or military office or place within the state. And in case, gentlemen, you're thinking that the church is weakened by this kind of provision, let me tell you unhesitatingly, and the Protestant ministers will say the same, that the reason why religion is as dominant as it is in the life of this country is precisely because of this separation of church and state.
You really feel that, Father Powell?
I am absolutely convinced of it. Absolutely.
There is, of course, no established religion in America.
Not in the sense that you mean, that is correct. But I should say myself that very often men seem to act as if the worship of opinion was the established religion of the country.
Not the worship of wealth?
Oh, wealth, yes. The old country estimation of wealth has stayed with us, though I hope and trust it's somewhat diminished. I'll admit that every man works for it in America, and not quite every man does so in the old countries. All the same, it doesn't seem to me that wealth is quite as important as an idol, a snare, a deception as this other thing. The worship of public opinion is the leading heresy around here, in my humble opinion.
You seem very tolerant in your views, Father Power. Is this true of all American Catholics?
It's true of most of them, I should say. We're now the largest single communion in New York, but we're still in a minority. So I shouldn't wonder if some of us are more tolerant when we belong to the minority than when we have the numbers on our side.
But even so, American Catholics seem to love democracy as much as members of other religions.
Oh, certainly. And they take it away with them when they go abroad. I was hearing only the other day of a lady from Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, very distinguished Catholic family, but the name wouldn't mean anything to you. This lady was on a visit to Europe, and she paid a visit to Rome. Now, naturally, she was anxious to have an audience with the Holy Father. And she had an introduction to one of the cardinals. And sure enough, of course, he was very pleased to arrange for her to attend a general audience. You know, when there's a lot of people there and they all receive the Holy Father's blessing. But this wasn't good enough for her. No, indeed. She wanted to talk to His Holiness. No, says the cardinal, it's not allowed. That's an honor confined to the princesses of the blood, the daughters of sovereigns. Then this lady gave him the answer straight. But, sir, she says, I am a princess of the blood and the daughter of a sovereign. For in America, the people are all sovereign, and I am the daughter of one of the people.
Oh, remarkable reply.
Oh, very much so. And it had its effect. His Holiness heard about it, and he was so pleased with it that he granted an interview. And that American lady was admitted to an honor to which no lady of private station had ever before aspired. Now, there's an American Catholic for you. And if you want to know what an American Protestant is like, I'll give you an introduction to one of the Episcopalian ministers here, a friend of mine, the Reverend Dr. Wainwright.
So you find no point of conflict between religious ideas and political doctrines?
None, sir. None whatsoever. They are two entirely separate worlds, in each of which an honest and conscientious man may live in peace.
I should like to hear why you think this is so, Dr. Wainwright.
Is there any doubt in the matter? I believe not, sir. It is because the ministers of the various sects have never entered politics and have never been or pretended to be a political power. We should think that we were injuring our standing if we were to concern ourselves with a political matter. A great number among us even abstain from voting at the elections. That's what I myself am always careful to do.
Is there no encouragement of religion in public life?
In our political and public life, we frown upon clericalism, but we warmly encourage religion. We attach great importance to it in everyday life. Have you seen yesterday's paper, the New York Spectator?
I believe not.
I have it by me. I'll find you a paragraph which will impress you. Read it for yourself. There.
The Court of Common Pleas of Chester County, State of New York, a few days since rejected a witness who declared his disbelief in the existence of God. The presiding judge remarked that he had not before been aware that there was a man living who did not believe in the existence of God, and that disbelief constituted the basis of all testimony in a court of justice, and that he knew of no case in a Christian country where a witness had been permitted to testify without such belief. The judge refused to admit any of his evidence on the grounds that it destroyed the confidence of the court in the truth of whatever he was about to say.
Extraordinary.
Thus, you may see, gentlemen, the doctrine that we hold so dear of the separation of church and state does not mean that we must separate godly conduct from practical life. On the contrary, it means, if anything, that we Americans judge all our actions, public and private, from the point of view of religious morality. That we have always done so, and that I trust we shall always continue to do so. And others would tell you the same.
What do you say to that, Dr. Stewart?
That we judge all actions from the point of view of religious morality? Well, I'd say it's true. I'm a medical doctor here in Maryland, as you know, gentlemen, and I observe that people follow the advice of the clergy. They hire only those that seem religious. The church has a prodigious influence in the affairs of the world.
Well, this state of affairs must create a good many hypocrites.
Yes, but above all, it prevents people's criticizing religion. Public opinion accomplishes with us what the Inquisition was never able to do. I have known a multitude of young men who, after receiving a scientific education, thought they had discovered that the Christian religion was not true. Carried away by the fire of youth, they began to maintain this opinion openly, and they became indignant at the intolerance of the zealous Christians and placed themselves in a position of open hostility. Well, some were obliged to leave the country or to vegetate there miserably. The others, feeling that the struggle was unequal, were constrained to return outwardly into the ways of religion, or at least keep their mouths shut. The number of those thus beaten by public opinion is very considerable.
Astonishing. Then there is a great depth of doubt or indifference hidden here.
Yes. Of course, anti-religious books are not published with us, or at least the thing is very rare. Yet several of our great men have not been members of any religious sect, have shared anti-religious feeling. Washington, for one. Washington's opinion in the matter of Christianity is unknown. He never explained himself. But Jefferson, Franklin, John Adams were decidedly deists, rationalists. On the other hand, it must be acknowledged that with us, a great many men of talent have been and are still firm believers. The great majority of the people firmly sustains the opinion that a man who is not a Christian offers no social guarantee. This is the source of an intolerance of which you can have no idea.
I must admit, before I left France, I thought that America was peopled with philosophic infidels and that deism was the most we could hope for. Actually, this extreme tolerance on the one hand towards religions in general, on the other this considerable zeal of each individual for his own religion, is a phenomenon I can't even explain to myself. I must say also that I am surprised to find religion on the side of democracy.
Frankly, Beaumont, I think we are discovering the cement of this democracy. Religion is much more necessary in this republic, which the Americans set forth in glowing colors, than in the monarchies which they attack. It is more needed in democratic institutions than in others. How can society possibly escape destruction if the moral tie is not strengthened in proportion as the political tie is relaxed? And what can ever be done with a people who are their own masters if they are not generally submissive to the power of God? Religion in America takes no direct part in the government of society, but it must be regarded as the first of their political institutions. For if it does not impart a taste for freedom, it facilitates the use of it. I do not know whether all Americans have a sincere faith in their religion, for who can search the human heart? But I am certain that they hold it to be indispensable to the maintenance of republican institutions.
You have just heard The Cement of Democracy, a study in American religion, Item 6, in a series based on Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. This series, presented by the National Broadcasting Company, was prepared by the Division of General Education of New York University under the direction of George Probst, American historian. Produced in the studios of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation by Andrew Allen. Script by Lister Sinclair, music by Lucio Agostini. This series, Democracy in America, is made possible by a grant from the Fund for Adult Education as part of a general course of study of the nature of American society. Teachers of American history and American civilization and adult education leaders may be interested in using these dramatizations and other materials, which are available for study and discussion at a reasonable charge. For information, write to American Foundation for Continuing Education, Post Office Box 749, Chicago 90, Illinois. Now, this is Ben Grauer inviting you to listen next week to The Cold Water Army, Item 7 on Democracy in America. This has been an NBC Radio Network presentation.